Coming up on this episode of the Hitstreak.
When you say there's a long line of products, it's because there's different needs for different products for different things.
And they're all intelligently designed and created to work strategically together in combination to address what the body needs.
Here is how Dr. Aaron Pryor changed my life. I used to hide my smile, covering my mouth in photos, holding back in conversations, even avoiding big moments. I didn't realize how much it was holding me back until I got my brand new veneers at Pryor Family Dentistry. It's not just my teeth. It's my confidence, my energy, my entire life. Visit PryorFamilyDentistry.com to book a consultation. Your life-changing smile awaits. Whoa. Check this out. Some of the world's biggest success stories started with nothing. Just grit, hustle, and a story worth hearing. If you've got a story that people need to hear, this is your shot. If you've been through the fire and came out stronger, you belong on this show. Email management@nickhyder.com or comment or DM the word Hitstreak to apply. The Hitstreak is where rags to riches stories have been told, and the next one could be yours. Blessings, folks. Welcome back to another episode of the Hitstreak. I'm your man, Nick Hyder. And folks, sitting next to me today is my beautiful and oh so talented co-host. You know her as my wife. My bride is in the building, folks. Give it up for Rhiannon Hyder. Rhiannon, thanks for co-hosting the episode with me today.
I thought I was hosting. I wore the boots and everything.
Let's go. That's what I'm talking about. Today, folks, we got an extra special guest joining us today. Actually, twice the star power hanging out with us today. Founders of the Root Brands, operators of the Root Brands, founders of DRC Adventures, Dr. Christina Rahm and Clayton Thomas are joining us today. Guys, thanks so much for hanging. Let's go.
Let's go.
Right. I'm also here for a good time.
Well, needless to say, that's kind of how it goes. So
I'm 3-0 into this already, so let's roll.
We're all zeroed in today. We're all zeroed in today. Well, first of all, I just want to say thank you to you guys for being here, for all the amazing support that you've done for us in the past, and allowing us into your beautiful home at your company Christmas party and everything else. I can't tell you how much that meant to us.
It meant a lot to have you guys there. We didn't invite a lot of people. So thank you for being there. It was a great experience. And we are so excited to get to know you guys even more this year in 2026 because we love what you're doing.
Well, thank you very much. Rhiannon, we got introduced to the Root brand line in April of 2025, I think. And it's been a game changer, yeah?
Agree.
And it's been cool because while we have been not only clients and product reps, but we've been fans. We've been watching you guys win award after award after award. 2025 was a massive year for the company, yeah? Massive
year, yeah. For us, probably the best yet.
All right, Clayton, 2025 was a massive year for you guys. What was some of the high points that really made it what it was?
I think it's the culmination of success leaves clues. And being an athlete, we have to put things on tape. Right? There's no reason to talk or hype, especially now with social media being what it is. There's so much talk, there's so much hype. But actually being able to take what Christina's done and what we've done over the last 5 years to take from concept to putting products in the market, letting consumers have experiences, and then have clinical case studies. And then I think she filed for 40 patents last year? 40 patents based on using the clinically proven protocols that she's created that have clinical outcomes and being able to address specific disease states based on the nutraceutical protocols that are done, which I don't think has been done before. And so that level of science and the outcomes that we've had over the last 5 years is the reason for the recognition. So the recognition that we've had so far, you can't buy, right? You can't make it up. It's verified. So whether it's been the growth of Root as a platform and as a company, or the recognition from what Christina's done as a scientist and a formulator, it brings those two together because you can see the success in the company because of the success in the science and the outcomes.
Tell me the laundry list of awards that you guys are racking up. It felt like you were gone the whole month of December. just accepting awards on stage. Dr. Christina, tell me a little bit about, like, seriously, these are magnificent awards. They make a huge statement about just the product, but more importantly, all the amazing people you guys have behind the scenes.
Thank you for basically recognizing, right? The awards, I think they were huge for us, and it wasn't us, it was our team. And I just want to say this, we are in 92 countries, so we have these great team players that are executives or just assistants that are some of the most integral people on our team and in the companies. I think people forget that this with the podcast, your directors, your photographers, everything was so important. And finally, it hit a pivotal point where we were recognized by Stevie. Clay was recognized by Inc. In Stevie, we were recognized for top patented science in the world and also for top manufacturing in the world, which was a huge win for our entire team. We had other awards as well that we received around the science and products and production because of the work that the team has done together.
So often we get asked, how do you work together as a spouse team and be successful? A lot of people try it, but never make it successful. You guys have both clearly defined those roles as husband and wife and business partners. So how'd you meet? How'd you get there? What's good? What have you learned? What can you take away?
This is interesting.
I love that I wanted you to ask the question, so I'm so glad you did.
Yeah.
And Clay will have his response, but I would love to say this. People do not have any idea really what's happening behind the scenes. So I had someone the other day tell me that they knew that I made every decision en route and at DRC and that I controlled the finances of the company. And I said, you could not be more wrong. He controls the finances of Root and of what happens internationally. But because we've both been CEOs at different companies, I do a lot behind the scenes as it pertains to marketing, not just science and not just patents and manufacturing, but I also step in daily to help run the company. I leave a lot of the financial decisions to him because Clay likes the control of that. And I've learned that it was hard at first, but to kind of have my hands off. And that's been a little bit of a change for me because in the past as a CEO, I was intricately involved and I still am at DRC Ventures, which is a holding company over a lot of brands, including Root, but he maintains control of actually Root, which is our number one revenue maker under DRC. And so I think it's interesting. People think that I call the shots and that's not actually accurate. And he'll actually tell me what to do with my brand and we argue about it. I think yesterday I said, I would like to have a decision on my brand since it's me. So we have arguments. It's not always successful. I'm not the easiest person to live with every day or to work with. I just want to say that. So I'm sure you're not either. Do you know what I mean? Because we're perfectionists. And so he's not the easiest as well, but people don't catch that to do what I've done with children in my career, I'm probably pretty difficult sometimes. Yeah.
Well, you just know what needs to be done and you get it done. That's the motherly part of it that has such a hard time letting go and giving that control. That's something we've learned as well. And when you can figure out what that looks like together and get there, you're still going to have the bumps, but you get through the bumps a lot easier and it makes it go by much faster.
You're so
dwelling
right.
on it.
You're so right. And you'll know this as a mother. We had a situation, and I know we have some people in the office that we work with that are two of my closest, people in my life, and they're in here. We had a situation earlier, and I actually said, don't bring Clay into this situation because I try to solve things. You have over 300,000 distributors. Do you think I know all of them? No. But there's conflicts in our corporate office and outside. And because I used to be a psychologist and because I was a mother, I'm usually the one that handles things like that, like the conflict resolution. Does that make sense? Because, when you have two kids, they don't always get along and everyone has their side of the story. So I've been prepped for this my whole life by having 4 kids. So that's where I do feel like I step in and I don't want him to deal with it because he's going from, and Clay's not the most emotional, empathic person I know.
What? No.
Over here.
I'm hurt by this right now. I'm getting emotional.
And I truly step in to try to understand both sides and to create resolution so we keep our people that we work with. Because again, you can't know everyone and everything about it. But I love your point. It's, I'm prepared for that by being a mother and being someone that really wants to get things done and stay on top of things, but I also will stop to resolve a conflict. And that's not his biggest trait.
Can I have a tissue, please? I'm getting emotional here.
Oh, goodness. I feel the whole thing, like there's times where I'm like, Dale, this is not something we need to discuss with Nick. This is we just need to get this done.
Yeah.
Because of that emotional aspect. And again, that's the woman. That's why, man and woman, that's what you need.
Yeah.
And it can work in a marriage. You just got to know what you're getting yourself into and know that along the way, there's going to be issues and you're going to figure them out.
Yeah. And I'm sure you're like me. I'm not always with Clay. Like people assume because like you guys are doing a podcast together that you're together every second of the day. That's not our life at all.
That's the goal.
That's the goal. But we do it's great to have time apart making decisions. And I can tell I've been in situations where I think people are like, please let Clay have control. And the truth is he has a lot of control. And I just we don't let people into everything about our personal lives and what happens. He's a perfectionist. And so when I say no to something or don't get something done, he's very hard on me. Not in an inappropriate way. He's always kind to me, but Clay expects me to get things done and get them done on time and produce. And we were friends before, we worked together. And so we already knew what to be prepared for. Sometimes it's a little too much. And I'm like, let's slow down because I think he's like you, Nick. He doesn't have that slow down speed. And sometimes I feel like strategically, I need to slow down so I understand the situation so I can make better decisions. But I appreciate the fact that he works like this. Do you know what I mean? So when I met you and then he talked about you, I thought, gosh, I would love for all four of us to get together because not that you're a handful, Nick, but you have a lot of energy.
I've been called way worse.
No, and not that Clayton's a handful, but there's a lot of energy and you have to keep up with it. And in whatever way, I don't know how you do it, but for me, I kind of slow down sometimes, understand the situation, handle what I need to in the backside so he can flourish in front of people. That's my goal.
Yeah. And, I will say we are almost like exactly the same as far as the dynamic between the two of us, but he was always, go, go, go. But the way that his mental and the way that mentally, the way he has changed and how he handles the quickness and the perfectionism since he has been en route is a game changer.
Yeah.
This is a redheaded, he's redhead. He's got the fire. He's got the energy, baseball player mentality. And then he started taking root and it was like something just completely changed because he took the trash out of his body and then put the good stuff back in it. So thank you for that. I think it might make Clayton a little more.
Does that help in a relationship?
It's helped us too, just so you both know. It's helped us too.
Yes. Yeah. And I have to take the time to emotionally think about things. He does not do that. So then you have that conversation with him and we're all just so much alike. I love it.
But we're not made for that. Guys are 1.0, women are 2.0, right? So we were like the test model and then God went, you know what, we're gonna tweak this a little bit. We'll just do
like this better.
A little bit better the second time, and he's like, "Okay, here you go."
Yeah,
because it's when I look at relationships, you can look at magnetism as a really good example, and I think it's one of the crucial things now that we try to teach our kids. That if you look at a wall magnet or a refrigerator magnet, you put two refrigerator magnets together, they'll stick together, but it's really easy to pull them apart. Or if you put a positive and a negative, they will have some repellent nature, but you can almost stick them together. And you can feel that there's a little bit of polarity there, but not a lot. If you take two rare earth magnets and you stick them together, you're not going to be able to pull them apart. But if you invert them and you've got positive and negative, you can almost power a city, with the amount of power that comes between those. So that level of polarity in a relationship, when you've got two couples or two people, and with the two of us, people look at us and she'll usually get the questions. I'm like, how do you deal with that?
And then people ask me, what is it like to live with Clayton? And I'm like, it's like this.
It's like a fairy tale wrapped in bacon.
Well, see, what I hear is laughter. You laugh a lot.
We laugh a lot.
And that's so important too. That releases endorphins in itself. So
it does. And like we did a couples interview on this. I'm like, every time I get out of the shower, she gets to laugh. I'm like, it's not funny. It was a cold shower. She's like, it's steamy. I'm like, but still.
It was cold steam.
Yeah.
This has never happened for the record. But
She's like, oh, you're so cute. I'm like, is that supposed to hurt or make me feel good? But the key.
Oh my God. Joy. That was inappropriate.
But
this is what I'm saying. It was inappropriate.
That is not. It's all about interpretation.
Inappropriate. That's a difference. You don't have to deal with that.
Oh, yes, I do.
Okay, I haven't heard it yet.
But the key in that is if you have two individuals that are poles, that strength in a relationship is what drives a relationship. Only through that level of polarity are you going to find the creativity. Are you going to find the strength in a relationship? And like you talked about being friends. The key is that we started as friends. I told you I loved you in 15 minutes on the phone the first time, so I knew. But the ability to maintain a friendship throughout a lifetime of a relationship, like her parents have been together since they were 14 years old, and they still like one another, right? I mean, that's kind of crazy.
It's awesome.
Yeah, they love each other.
So, the ability to, have that friendship, but also know what real love is and know the strength of it. And I grew up in an environment where from the time I was in the clinic and born, my parents were working together. Right. And so I got to watch a working relationship at home and in a clinic throughout my entire life. That was standard to me. So not having an environment where you have a collaborative relationship with the one that you want to spend time with was one that kind of just made sense. But the key is taking the time to understand, especially as a man, developing an understanding of who you are, of who you're supposed to be, that spiritual aspect, the physical, the psychological, and the emotional components of having the growth of getting to the point of knowing who you are. And then when you get to that point, God will typically go, okay, now you're ready. Here you go. And a lot of times for guys, we get divorced at least once or twice before because we're 1.0 and we screw those things up. We're not developed to the point. And then when we're ready, we're given that gift to say, here's the one that'll complete you. Don't screw it up. Right? And I'm still trying to do that.
We all are.
We all are.
Yeah.
We all are. It was interesting. This year we made our goals, and I don't know if you guys do this. We go over the year before. And I have always done this personally since third grade. I go over the year before and then I plan my next year and I have my goals. And it's so interesting. I go back and I look, and if I've written it down, usually I'll hit that because it's what I'm focused on. We do this now as a couple, and it's really helped us. Like I learned from Clayton, he doesn't do well when I'm traveling internationally and I'm not with him. And I didn't know that. But if you don't sit back and reflect on what the other person's feeling and wanting, you wouldn't know that. Does that make sense? Because I'm like, wait a minute, he's always putting me on a plane by myself to go international.
Yeah.
So it helped me to hear that he doesn't actually like that, because then you can change that. Because a relationship is so important for you guys, with your kids. You have to make it work. So we apply that personally and professionally now, where we have these goals, personally and professionally. What can we change? What can we make better? And I think that's really helped us be stronger as a couple and professionally when we're leading teams.
In 2026, we got one of those big travel trunks and drilled some holes in it, so now I can travel cheaper. Traveling at a discount.
That's right.
There you go.
Southwest don't know what's coming, does it?
You know what? If you say that there's a pet on board, you don't have to qualify what that pet is.
He doesn't like traveling. Let me just say that.
No, it's terrible.
He doesn't, and I can handle it. So I've traveled my whole career internationally, which is why one of our biggest audiences is international, because that's where I spent my career. It was not in the United States, but in other countries. So it took me a while to understand he doesn't actually like those long trips. It's a lot. It's a lot for all of us. But if you're used to it, it's just part of it. So you learn each other. I think that's what's so wonderful about life. If you love someone and you stay and you really are in the game, because you have to be in the game. It's like a baseball game. You can't just be halfway in the stands. You got to be in it. And so we're learning every day. And I'm fascinated every day with what I learn about Clay that I didn't know, the year before, the day before.
It's like reading War and Peace. It's such an in-depth novel with so many layers.
We all have layers.
We all have
Cut
layers.
it back one at a time.
Like a bad onion.
All right, let's shift now. Let's shift towards the good stuff. Y'all ready? All right. So let's see here. I'm actually going to leave with that. All right, so I'm really excited to get into some of the, let's call it the meat and potatoes. All right, so every time I open up my YouTube, my Instagram, my TikTok, there's tons of political stuff on there. There's been a lot of content based around food ingredients. A new food pyramid just got released. I want to get your take on that. And then, like, you know, my wife was literally showing me just last night in some shredded cheese the differences in ingredients between shredded cheese and a block of cheese. And I couldn't believe it. Yeah. Right. So I'm really excited to get into this. I know we're going to hear a lot from Rhiannon on this, but let's just start with the new food pyramid. Like, what's all this mean? What are they actually doing? What is all this that's happening right now?
Yeah,
Who did it?
I'm confused because I thought it was changed last year because I was in the middle of some of the discussions with different people because people ask me a lot, what is my political stance? And my stance is for humanity, right? I just say that all the time instead of, I just put it out there. I'm here as a scientist and a mother, and I'm here for the family unit. So there's not really a political stance other than supporting the United States of America. That's how I feel. When I look at our food pyramid, it should have changed from when we were all in school. Because when we were all in school, it's like you should eat cereal all day and carbs all day, right? It was, I mean, years ago, it was upside down, and they've gradually done different things. But now if you look at it, I'll give you an example. We were at the World Economic Forum 2 years ago, and I was on stage with with a bunch of panelists that were like ambassadors or health ministers or different things from other country. We had our ambassador from Switzerland with me that day, and one of the conversations focused on cows, I think. And
yeah, I was going to go there.
Yeah, and they asked, and I wasn't prepared for this. It was an interesting talk because one of the first question that happened, they switched it up with me and they said, Christina, we're going to ask you, what do you think about the borders? And I was like caught off guard completely because I was like, wait a minute, I'm not a politician, I'm a scientist, but I answered that. Yep. We can go back to that later. I would love to talk to Rhiannon how I answered that because it had to do with the family unit and being a mother is how I answered it. Then I went into about the cows, and they let everyone know that they did, most people would not have access to meat by 2030. And that we had to gradually stop eating meat because there was not going to be the access to it and they explained later, which I didn't know this, so I wasn't really prepared for the question, that countries were going in and buying cows, and that in the Middle East and in China and in India, they were trying to be the food suppliers.
And Russia.
And Russia, sorry. Yeah, you're right, Clay. And then we just did not have the amount of meat that we thought we did, or the amount of chickens, right? An amount of cows, amount of chickens. I was blown away by it.
How does that happen?
I was like, wait a minute. And they started talking about, there's potato chips now with protein that you can eat. And I said, I understand, but it's not the same. I really did. And one of the reasons I think we have an increase in colon cancer in women in their 20s and 30s over the last couple of years is because we're eating more and more artificial things, or things that haven't been cleaned from the toxins, which is one of the things I would say that sets what I do apart from everyone else in manufacturing, because I'm cleaning out the toxins. Protein holds on to toxins. Peptides hold on to toxins. Vitamin C, vitamin D, all of them do, and to heavy metals. People don't know that. I don't want to scare people, but it's not even the brand you're buying that you put in your body. It's where they're manufacturing and what are the processes. And we think our country has the best processes, but let's just go to the grocery store after this. And let's see why there's different food dyes in our food that we know can cause cancer. And believe me, I'm an American. I am pro-United States, but there's changes we have to make. And that food pyramid is really showing us the future of where we're going, in my opinion, by basically turning it upside down, but then also not saying anything about the fact that we can have protein but it can be the wrong kind of protein. And so that discussion's not even out there yet. Do you know what I mean? It really isn't. It's kind of like when the pandemic happened, my biggest concern was viruses and parasites and bacteria, and not just that particular virus, because I knew it would mutate and cause all these other things, and that for the next 5 years, we would have an increase and then it would hit us again. And if you look at the flu season this year, you can see some of that. It's crazy, right? It's because of how it's approaching a cytokine storm. And if it keeps being a cytokine storm in your body, it never turns off. And so I feel like we have basically been placed as parents and as a family unit into a world that we have to figure out how to make it better. How do we stand up for what's right? how can we change a food pyramid? And the answer is we can't. So we have to work in a positive, strategic way. And this is where I speak to you as a mother and you as a father to really have better food options and to really educate our own children. Because if our children aren't going to be educated right at school or by social media or by the news, then we as a family unit have to step up and make sure our kids understand what they need to put in their bodies. And it shouldn't be something artificial all the time. It needs to be something that's pure, like the Relive greens I work on, that I just clean it out, 3 times to make sure there's no GMOs in the food.
I had mine this morning.
Yeah.
It's clinically efficacious amounts of ingredients as well, because there's keys to understanding not just the environment, but the difference now. And I've got a couple questions for you based on this subject.
Yeah. Let's
but
go.
the difference between nutrients and calories.
Well, Clay, it goes back to when you started Root. So I had been in another company, and then I went to work on an emergency authorization. I'm glad you brought this up, project. And so I was working in the pharma world, really trying to get something approved for the lungs with people that had COVID, right? We weren't able to get it approved because most things were vaccines that were approved. But when Clay came to me about what's the first 3 products you would like to basically formulate as a scientist, I said, let's pretend like we don't have food anymore. And what will you eat on a deserted island? And he goes, why would you say that? I said, because we're getting ready to go into an era where we're not going to have what we want for our children and our children's children. So how do we have a supply so we know their body's getting what they need? That was my main focus of Root. And people don't know that. But that was the conversation that took place between the two of us. And at that point, we weren't married yet. So this was a situation where, no, we weren't, baby.
No, but it's the selfish aspect of looking at the business, but saying, okay, our decision making is predicated on who are we doing this for? It's our family. So if you're making something for your family, how are you going to skimp on the quality of ingredients and the formulation and the science? I'm pretty positive that you're not. Because if you're looking at something, I'm cooking for my family. Like, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Why? Because this is best, this is best, this is best, this is best. When combined, we're going to get these outcomes and we're going to have longevity, we're going to have performance, we're going to have function. The inverse is going, well, let's talk about this subject because it's really good. Get me the cheapest versions of all of those possible. So we've got massive margins. Let's promote it. We're going to make a ton of money. And then we're going to exit because we're going to make all this money. You're not taking care of yourself. You're not taking care of your family. So the foundation
of others in this world.
Well, but it starts with taking care of yourself, right? Yeah. If you get a little turbulence and things get bad on the plane and the air masks drop, the first thing that you do is put yours on. The first thing I do is make sure yours is on. And then I put mine on so we can take care of other people.
Yeah.
And then if it gets bad, we kick some people off the plane. We make sure that we're good. And I
would not kick anyone off.
Oh, okay. So,
yeah.
But the key is knowing, even from a brand standpoint, if you're a consumer, and I'm going to go over ingredients real quick because women know this. Guys, we're 1.0. Women know the secret ingredient that makes everything amazing. You know what that is?
Love.
Yes, it is. Because when we were growing up as kids, we might have grown up with a box of macaroni and cheese. It was 10 cents, this guy, and a little hamburger. And while it's not the greatest meal, it's made with love by your mom. So you know it's just amazing, right? And you look back on those things, it's like, wow, that was the most amazing meal I ever had. I grew up on Schwann's, right? And the Schwann's truck isn't around anymore. It's a terrible moment. Again, I'm emotional. I'm very empathetic towards the lost Schwann's.
That's the healthiest food for him.
It was not, but that's the thing. I burned so many calories, but this will get back to the pyramid. But if you know that the products that you're taking for yourself or that you're looking to provide to your family are made with love, foundationally, from a frequency standpoint, that's crucial. And if the formulator of whatever it is you're taking isn't producing something with the intention to be really, really, really good for you, It doesn't matter what the ingredients are because the intention is off. The frequency of it is going to be off. Are we frequency based? Is this whole thing a big quantum computing processing electrical bio system?
100%.
God, who knew? So let's look at the pyramid. Whose pyramid is it? So the question is,
we will bring you back footage from the World Economic Forum on whose it is, because it's basically everyone's. That's your issue, because they're launching that everywhere.
But we're built on the same hardware, the same operating system, right? Human.
Yeah.
But our software is different.
Yeah.
So we have different blood types. Yes. We're O's. There's A's. There's B's.
I'm an O negative, which is your top blood type.
Of course, you would be.
Hi, folks. I'm your man, Nick Hyder, and I just want to say a quick thank you for all of you, the millions of you tuning into the Hitstreak. We're literally getting the information from the people that have it to the people that need it by bringing on guests that everybody knows and some that not everybody knows yet. Keep listening, keep sharing, and keep leveling up with the Hitstreak.
So when we just look at our blood type, there's at least 4. There's 4 unique types, based on going back through history on each blood type on how they need to eat. Then we've got our genetics, which is our coding to know that each of us is biologically unique, right? We're built on the same hardware, the same operating system, but the configuration of our software is unique to every single individual. That means genetically, you're going to need to eat differently based on how you're programmed and how you're created. Some of us, O's, are going to need more protein. They need more meat. We need fat. We need some veggies. That's pretty much it. If you're an A, you need more veggies. You might not need meat because of how you're made. So great. Making one pyramid is like, okay, great. We know Kellogg's and who was it before? Procter & Gamble did the first one. Why? Because they're like, well, you know what? I think you need a lot of grains, and it's a good thing we make a little bit of cereal. And you might need some milk and cheese. Okay, don't. You don't need that meat stuff. You just need a little bit of that. Isn't it not funny? We were in Athens, I think early last year, or end of the year before. And we did a little tour of Athens, and we went by where they did the first Olympiad. And the Olympics and the marathon comes from that area. Did you know the first performance-enhancing substance, the first banned substance in sports, in the marathon?
Let him guess what it is. Wait.
Happened to be what?
I want Rhiannon to guess. What do you think?
Substance.
The first
banned substance in sports performance.
Like Olympic athletes, your top athletes. Going
back to the original marathon, back OG days.
Gosh, I don't even know where to start. I don't even know if I have a good guess at all. What you got?
Caffeine, cocaine. I don't know.
I was like you. I was like caffeine. I couldn't figure out what.
Back then,
I love that you immediately went to cocaine.
Yeah, well,
you couldn't figure it out.
Back then, they put cocaine in.
They didn't know
what they did.
Yeah.
So.
That was South Americans. That was the Mayans. That's how they built the temples so fast. But the Greeks were a little bit slower in process. Science fact, the original performance-enhancing substance that was banned in sports performance was beef.
Can you believe that?
Get out.
Yes, it's true.
Because the culture was built on pork. Everybody ate pork. And there's a difference now between what pork is and what it was back in the day because of the environment, parasites, and, if garbage in, garbage out. But the elite, people that had a little more money, started eating beef. And because of the nutrient profile of long ago, when things were a lot better than they are now, because of how our bodies synthesized beef compared to pork, the performance improvements that they saw with people that were eating beef just crushed everybody else. So they banned people from eating beef before competition.
Wow.
But let's not talk about history and how it would apply to the operating system now, which we're no different than we were then. So, because they don't want you to eat beef anymore because there's not enough beef. And you know what happens if the public stops eating beef? There's more for those that have the money.
There you go.
Now, I'm not saying it's good to have the money, but it's not bad, right? Because if you can convince everybody else to do things, and then you can save stuff on the side for yourself, that's one point. The other side of the equation is that's the masculine approach to it. Okay. The feminine approach is how do we take care of everybody? And in an environment that is being bioscience engineered, because we know the water's polluted, we know the soil's polluted, we know the air's polluted, and those are all facts. You can't argue those. it would take a bioscience engineer and really a nanotechnologist to understand how to take nature and how to program it accordingly to give the body what it needs to function in the way that we're truly created. Because now we're starting to understand what we are biologically. We are a quantum computing system. We are a big bundle of light, which solves the creation conversation from literal day one.
Yeah.
Let there be
Light.
Come on.
and who's the light? It's us. It's who our symbol was. Are we meant to be Christ-like? Absolutely. That was the example. That's the trick.
Yeah.
Is it in us? Yes, because that was the symbolism. So if we are light, if we are frequency, if we are all of that, that means we're programmable. You don't need content as far as all of these additives, chemicals, all these pollutants, and volume as far as caloric intake. What you need is programmed nutrients that are combined properly that correctly feed the operating system. The foundational piece of that has been a clue for us for the last 40 freaking years. And I grew up in Southwest Washington, and one of our office staff, her husband worked at Intel. And you know what they used to say? There was Intel inside. And you know what made Intel unique? They made silicon-based microchips.
Okay.
And then there was Silicon Valley. So this entire tech industry was built on that one interesting word. And you know, the planet is made of about 70% water and 17% silica and a mixture of other components. And it's really freaking weird that the human body consists of about 70% water, 17% silica, and a mixture of other components, almost like we were intelligently created from the environment in which we're in. And then they made Avatar just to throw it at you, so you got the point. But that means if we're a biological computer, the one thing that we're missing to upgrade happens to be bioavailable silica. And then 10 years ago, this amazing nanotechnologist and bioscience engineer figured out how to unlock it from nature's most powerful crystal that the Mayans and the Romans were using simultaneously to clean up their environment so their drinking water wasn't loaded with lead, to make available to actually start to clean up the mess, but also deliver the bioavailable silica that was needed in order to upgrade our operating system every day. What would you call that? Clean slate?
Oh, clean slate and clean spirits.
Oh, there's that. God bless it.
it.
We call that a lead in. Oh.
But how important is that to the pyramid? Here's my answer. It's not being addressed by the pyramid. And it's very important to us and to the world, but there's not the knowledge throughout the world that understands that. And if you ask me why, it's not taught in medical school. It's not something really discussed, even scientifically, unless you keep going back to school and you keep making it a focus. Like when I went back to the Harvard Extension School program, I had to be sometimes at Harvard, and sometimes I was on the road because I was traveling. So I got accepted into the 3-year program in nanobiotechnology and bioscience engineering. And my focus was to go in to help reverse GMOs. I wanted to learn, how do we reverse GMOs? How do we help the body really get rid of the things that we shouldn't have? Because I started understanding, working in the pharmaceutical biotech industry, that we're putting things in the body, and yes, they may give an immediate resolution, like when your daughter's sick and has surgery, or if you have a baby, right? But long-term use and side effects was something I was always worried about. And so being able to understand, okay, I went into the pharmaceutical biotech industry to help my family and to help me and to help the world, but what's a way we can do that naturally became very important to me as I started understanding where we were going scientifically. And the problems that would happen to my children's children is what started really bothering me. And how do we get their bodies healthy if they're not getting the food they need, if we're not teaching them educationally what they need to know or scientifically?
Right.
And so that was the hardest thing I think I've ever done, was to switch from being like everyone else to starting to talk about what we need to do differently. And it was the first time in my life I was criticized or attacked. And it was so hard. So when you talk about the pyramid, it's going to take a lot of us talking to our children, because you can't reverse it overnight. Does that make sense? So what was just sent out and your kids are going to go to school and they're going to be tested on it. How do you do that? I mean, I'm asking you all because you still have younger kids.
Well, as far, at 10 years old, I really kind of woke up to some things about the environment and things that are put in our food, our water, vaccine, all the things. And at 10 years old, I started teaching Ethan about looking at ingredients. On the back of a bag of Cheetos.
When Ethan was 10.
When Ethan was 10. On a back of Cheetos, it said 1 gram of protein. He's like, Mom, this has 1 gram of protein. I'm like, that's not real protein. So that in itself, you think about all the packaged food, and now they're saying protein. That's what people are looking at. They're not looking at what you're talking about. Mm-hmm. They just don't know.
Yeah, that's kind of the point, I think, of the whole thing is that, one, there's so much information. Who do you trust? Right? Who do you trust? Who are trustworthy sources for that education? And then do you even know what you're looking for? I'll just 10 years ago when Nick took up this whole couch, the first thing, it's bad. It was bad.
He was a fatty.
I'll show you.
Did you know
2
him?
cameras.
Yeah.
Yeah, she stayed. I couldn't believe it. She stayed.
You married him.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Oh my gosh, I don't know this story. This is for my podcast.
Oh, yeah, this is great. Well, the only thing I really changed, because as a former athlete, I always was physical and worked out. The only thing I changed was what I ate and consumed and when and how often. But the biggest thing was, I remember when she was telling me, we substituted, the first thing we did was we substituted spaghetti noodles for spaghetti squash.
Yeah.
And I hated it at first.
Yeah.
And I was just like everybody else. I just thought it was hogwash. I thought it was,
You really thought that.
I truly, I don't know if I didn't want to admit I was wrong over all that time, which as a parent, if you do something that you find out later hurt your kids, that's a really tough thing to admit to yourself, right? So, but she, I didn't have a choice other than it was like, if you don't want it, go get your own stuff, go get your own food then. So I ate it, and then it was all these substitutes for pasta. What else was it? When
just
we first
better
started?
bads, just different. There's just so many, you like Hamburger Helper? Okay, well, there's ways to make it without buying the box. We have swapped convenience. We've leaned on convenience rather than natural and what's best for us. It's convenient over best, and that is truly the issue.
I thought organic was stupid. I just didn't get it. I didn't know what I didn't know, and I went through this evolution of myself where it was like, you know what could it hurt to have an open mind, right? So that was the first thing I had to do, is just, it was okay to be wrong, and just, what's the worst thing that can happen by just hearing it out and listening to it.
Well, first your wife, so you kind of have to if you want to have a good night.
And if you want the wife to try different things, you're like, okay, maybe I should apply this because I can accumulate. I can get some fun tickets, and then I can try to transfer them later on.
See, and that's exactly woman's just a good night, and then
I know,
takes it all
the way.
And guys are like, wait a minute, I think I can apply this appropriately later on. But one of the interesting things, I think there's a couple lines in this book that I've read or I've asked a lot of questions about, that you will be deceived and you will choose poorly because you've been deceived. And this is the point, and you hit on something, Nick, that's really important for people to understand as far as content. Is there a difference between trust and truth?
That's exactly the point I'm kind of getting at.
Is there a difference? Because the interesting part in deception is you might have 90% truth with 10% that's just a little bit not true and kind of a lie, but it's mixed in with the truth. So it's palatable. It comes in a box. It looks good, but it might kill you. Or it's not really what it says. But trust me, it's okay. You see me. I'm on your feed. It's constant because I'm spending a lot of money. I got some money that I'm spending to put it in front of you. So you're continually programmed, because if I beat you over the head with the same thing consistently, eventually you'll submit.
Yeah, trust is earned, right? And it's really done through repetition.
Is it earned anymore? It is.
It's not. No, we give it away.
It is about repetition. That's because we know now that exposures take 7 to 9 times, sometimes now 10. With social media now, from a marketing standpoint, they're understanding it's like 10 to 20 times. It used to be at it used to be 3 to 5 exposures, then it was 7 to 9 exposures. Now it's like 10 to 20 exposures, consistently seeing something that you can change someone's mindset.
That's it.
So I could put truth right in front of you. But if your trusted device keeps feeding you a narrative that is not true, you're eventually going to buy what you think you trust, even though it's not true. So when you're presented with truth, truth doesn't taste good anymore. Mm-hmm. And you go, wait a minute, I don't like that. I don't want to try that. Because
your body's just used to the garbage.
I don't trust that. I'm like, yeah, but it's true.
But on the other side of that, once he came out of that and realized how much the good stuff made him feel better, there were no questions.
Then he probably started loving how it tasted. I mean,
you start to crave it.
Yeah.
There's also that ingredient. Love was behind it too, because I wanted him to feel better, and I knew exactly how to make that happen.
Okay, I want to see the smile come from this one real quick, and he doesn't know where I'm going to go, but just get this on camera.
Oh my gosh.
Wait for it. We have to calmly deliver this science fact. Gentlemen, this is for all of us. For every 35 pounds you lose, you gain an inch back.
That's
it's actually a fact.
I didn't know that one. I love facts.
Yeah.
We know when we get out of the shower that the dick do might be coming back if the gut be gone. This is a science fact because our skin stretches when we gain weight. And, well, if you're stretching all your skin everywhere else, you're going to lose the ability to extend. If you lose the weight, you gain the potential to have what you had as a kid back. You're like, wait a minute. And this is the interesting part in relationships of how we see couples now, that older guys want younger women because, they lack substance. But you have...
True. There are great younger women.
No, I'm saying the guys are like, wait a minute, I can't handle these older women because they're well-established, they're intelligent, they know what they want and all these things. But here's the interesting part. You know why women in their 40s like to have guys in their 20s?
Why?
Because they're not fat yet and they can perform the way that the women need to, because women sexually peak is after 40 and guys are peaking around 20-ish. So it's interesting. They haven't gotten fat and lazy yet, so the women are like, you can keep up with me. This is why they're zero in and sculpt and crush, so we can be in our 40s and keep up with our wives.
Come on.
Talk to me.
Okay, what? I'm not going to talk about it. No.
Oh, you're writing a sex book, woman.
I am.
Yeah.
But it's scientific. But
I'm excited to hear.
Is that a science fact? Was I making stuff up there, or is that true?
It's true.
Yeah.
It's true. I mean, even women, like your libido and everything, the more in shape you are, you guys know this. You guys are athletes. You work out. The better shape your body is, the more you're able to perform. And people have a misunderstanding. People are embarrassed about sex, right? But the truth is the Bible addresses it, right? It's all over. It's something we have to educate our children on. I don't want to get off topic, but my oldest son was talking about the first time I told them about sex. I opened a scientific book, and showed them every disease there was. And I said, this is what happens if you have unprotected sex before you're married. And he was talking about it still scarred him.
I still remember the textbook conversation. Yeah.
Yeah. So, but it goes back to you educate. Scientifically, we should educate people sexually because mentally, emotionally, psychologically, spiritually, sex is a part of our lives, right? It's a part of who we are. It's a part of our gender. It's a part of every day. And the truth is,
it's an important part
to perform in that way it is to perform at a peak. You have to be in good shape. And so being overweight, and I'll go even further, having the wrong nutrition in your body and the wrong, I call it, because there's a cytokine storm that causes inflammation throughout the body, and it leads to disease. It leads to illnesses. If you want to quiet that down by giving it like a vitamin C, a vitamin D, a 0M with L-theanine, you can. But what you're also doing is you're quieting down any disruption as it pertains to sex.
Yeah.
What does a disruption for sex mean to a female? It means emotionally you can't connect, because at some point with women, they want to emotionally connect. If you're in a relationship, you're in a family unit, or you're in a significant relationship, right? With men, you want to perform. Because if you think about it, women don't have to perform. Does that make sense? But they want to connect.
Wait, what?
women don't.
Sometimes the men command a performance.
Okay.
I want to connect right now.
You have to.
We're not making eye contact right now. That's inappropriate. Look to your left.
Okay, what? No.
I'm watching you.
Okay, wait.
We're connecting right now.
Right. Okay. So my thing is, it is an important part of performance, and that means you have to be in shape. But it's good that you didn't leave him when he was at his worst.
I don't know. I still don't know why. But I'm glad to.
She saw potential, and she figured it was going to be too much work. She just work on chiseling it away and get back what she wanted.
Well, all right. So I want to really dive into so first of all, when I was the larger version of myself, I didn't. My granddad used to always say, Nick, if you sit in a room full of shit long enough, you stop smelling it. I didn't realize that feeling bad, it became the norm. And I was even like our parents, they don't understand what we're talking about, because like when we tell them how much better we feel, it's like if you have 30 days of not having that, and then when you put it back in, that's when you feel it. Like that's when I felt it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't want that. It doesn't matter how good it tastes. Yeah. And that's the biggest thing, is you had to have that time frame of however long it is. For me, it was about 30 to 45 days where all of a sudden it was like when I didn't eat it, when I didn't crave it, I started craving different things. But more importantly, like when I did put that back in, like I have arthritis in my back. And the sugar is one of the fastest triggers for that. Like it's amazing to me how big of a difference that made. And then, when you go back and look at the commercials in the 80s and the 90s, they would talk about Frosted Flakes like they were actually healthy for you. And that's the thing now is like, we talked about a trustworthy source, but like when you've been told that so many times for so long, it's going to take that much time and that many repetitions to change your mind, to admit that you're wrong. And it's like, and then even then you'll show them the ingredients in the food, and it's like, look at what's in there. It's almost like they still don't believe it.
Yeah. And it's not even just the ingredients. I think that's one of the hardest things. I don't know how to get this across to humanity and to mothers and fathers, but it's not just the ingredients. It's where were they sourced? Going back to, are they organic or not organic? Mm-hmm. Or have they been cleaned or not cleaned? Do they have heavy metals? If you get an orange from Chernobyl in Ukraine, where there was all the nuclear waste that was leaked, and it's organic, but it was in nuclear waste, it's not good for you. And I think that's why Root became so important to me, was I can't control everything outside of our world, but what can I control as a scientist, and what can I do that can I know I can't make the biggest change in the world. We all make small changes, right? And you keep working towards that every day. That was the goal. It wasn't to make a claim. And this is what I always say. I'm not claiming to cure anything. We're not claiming to cure anything. It was to help people get their lives back so they could be happy and healthy. You did that for your husband,
yes, you
right?
did.
You did that. But then it doesn't stop in a year. It's like, what do you find more and more to help your family be healthier, to help your family be happier, to help your children and your husband perform at its peak, which is why I always go back to, I mean this, and this is nothing against men at all. I have 3 sons that I adore, and I have a husband I adore, and father, and uncles, and I could go on, friends. I mean, it's just women have got to stay connected to this, and it has to be part of having a healthy family. Because I, for example, did not teach all my kids the healthy choices. Like, I'm involved in pharma and biotech, so think of where I was, right? I'm focusing on when they get sick and how do we help people get better when they're sick. And then one day it hit me through all of that, but people are sick constantly now. Yeah. Why? This isn't helping anyone. I looked at the rate of cancer and I heard people say the rate of cancer is going way up, but people live longer. I'm like, they live longer, but at what expense?
Yeah, that's right.
Are their bodies healthy? Are they able to think? Do they develop Alzheimer's? Do they develop diabetes because of something? And that's when my life really shifted and changed. And that was a pivotal point for me probably as a scientist, but more as a mother and as a person in a family wanting to make a difference.
You can prevent sickness by the right nutrition, the right sources.
There's a simple truth. And I got to see this in my childhood growing up in a clinic, but a healthy system does not have health problems. Period.
Agreed.
So if you have a healthy environment, Like if we look at environmental remediation, because remediation is the word for 2026, right? This is the key word. And this amazing nanotechnologist and bioscience engineer wrote a book on it last year, amongst all the other books that she wrote.
It's kind of boring, just to warn you all.
But a healthy system doesn't have health problems.
That's right.
So if you're looking at remediation, Chernobyl, how many of us here amongst the four of us have been to Chernobyl? Do the roses actually have thorns on the petals there?
Everything looks different.
Yeah.
It's different. It's been altered, so it's different. They're trying to, like, they cleaned it with Clino, which is a zeolite, but it was a powder. And the problem is, if you use a powder, it works. It's like Clino is used for fertilizer. Like, it really cleans up all the mess, right? Including they've used it with different nuclear, like every time there's a nuclear war or there's a nuclear explosion or leak. So the problem is, if it's not formulated the right way, you pick up the powder. Anyone that touches that powder is contacting, and they all, if you look historically, people have died that have been in that remediation. Just like people that go to war that are exposed to Agent Orange, they die, right? They get cancer, they get Alzheimer's. It's really horrible. And the truth is, I want to go into Chernobyl and use, a version of Clean Slate with the land, air, and water, which I have approved through patents, to clean that up. Because it's a really big mess. And you could plant something organic, and going back, if your soil and your land and air aren't okay, then it doesn't end up okay. In the United States, and I do want to make this point, you've done an amazing thing because you took your family and you're feeding them healthy things as a mother. But then you're adding Clean Slate. And you're right, it's a game changer, because what if that's not perfect? Because our world, our planet right now isn't, because humanity has made it a little dirtier than it should be, right? So you're cleaning your own body with something. The next step is hopefully we can clean our environment, but we have to start with our own bodies, Clay's right.
So the key and the operative aspect of that is people talk about detoxification. It's like, okay, I have this environmental mess. I've got Chernobyl. I've got, the atrazine and all these chemicals in a water supply somewhere, or, a Superfund site in the United States because there was this chemical spill or this accident. And if we look at detoxification, they go, oh, well, we're just going to try to clean it up. Remediation is cleaning it up, fortifying it, and making it better than it was before, right? That's the key, is whether we look at it environmentally or we look at it environmentally.
That's right.
Right? Because we are a universe inside the skin suit. You have all these different species. There's more bacterial cells in the human body than there are human cells, and it's the matter of actually creating balance and homeostasis. So the operating system, the sun, and it's interesting that in Spanish they call it sol. I wonder if there's symbolism in that. That there's a light inside you, inside that universe, that happens to be your soul that can... God, the symbolism is insane! But you are in control of your environment.
Yeah.
And you have to foster and take care of this environment, because there's other entities, other beings, other species inside you that want to take control of you.
Yeah.
That if you're not responsible, you're going to be deceived. You will choose poorly, and those things are going to take over.
Yeah.
And they are going to take over your brain. They're going to control your decision making. You are not going to eat right.
Yeah.
Not because you know better or you don't know better. You're being controlled. The things that are in you that want to be fed, feed on sugar, feed on those things. So you're actually making the decision not because you're not choosing properly, but because you're being unduly influenced by your toxic environment.
I want to add to that, because this is important, because you have children, right? I'm getting ready to have my first grandchild. So our oldest is 30 and we're going to have a little boy. So
little baby Carlos.
It's not his name, but anyway.
Well, he's going to be with me. He's going to have sunglasses. Yeah. I've already got sunglasses.
Like, no, this is not his name, right? In fact, you can hear Duquesne get angry. He's like, that is not his name. And Kelly's so nice.
Oh, I know.
She's like, it's okay. I'm like, it's not okay. That's not the baby's name. But Clay already has the T-shirt, the glasses, all of it. Anyway.
Everybody's got a nickname.
Okay.
And we know what Carlos is going to be rocking when he's with Poppy.
Okay. Right. So the issue is, let's say you're doing drugs, right? Let's say someone's on meth or cocaine, or let's say they become an addict to heroin or something, right?
Psychedelics, mushrooms.
What happens when that addiction occurs is your neurotransmitters crave that. Does that make sense? Mm-hmm. So you want that. It's and I know people have a hard time with this, but one of the reasons Clean Spirits was so important to me is I knew you had to get to the organs of the body so you could detox them and get rid of stuff, because I understood that Clay's right. they're playing a game on the body, like everything inside your body. And with your children, I want people to know this. If your children are eating sugar, and I want you guys to know, I didn't know this when my kids were little. So you need to know, I mean, I didn't understand when your body is telling your child they have to have sugar or they're not happy because the neurotransmitters of the brain or your brain has parasites or fungus or has been overloaded with sugar. So the neurotransmitters aren't working because yes, sugar for me is almost like a drug. If you're on any more than a small amount from like fruit and different things, it can actually cause so many issues in your body. Your body craves it and it's not happy till it has it. And I'm not talking emotionally, I'm talking everything until you go through, you said 30 days. I love that. I've seen people where it takes 90 days to 9 months. I've noticed with athletes, it's a quicker turnaround. And I think that's because they're in tune with their body and they're listening to it. But the truth is, your child can be tricked almost like a drug addict's been tricked. They don't really want that drug and they want to stop it, but they don't know how. And now we've done that through food. So unless it's kind of like you went through rehab with your wife, you didn't. I don't want anyone to miss, but you did.
It's exactly what it was.
From a food perspective. And I really wish people would start understanding that because they don't, I don't think.
Well, that's kind of like as we get ready to pivot to the solution, right? To the products themselves. Because I really want to dive deep into like, it's so much that sometimes maybe I feel like people may not start because they don't know how, right? But when you are like, for instance, it's just like I heard my dad say something the other day. I couldn't believe it. He was like, "Yeah, I found out that Taco Bell shouldn't call it meat because there's less beef in it than there is in everything else."
Are you ready to take your brand digital? At HitLab Creative, we don't just make content. We build your digital foundation from the ground up. So whether you're launching a podcast, creating scroll-stopping social media content, or building a website that actually converts, we connect all the dots. Visit hitlabstudio.com/studio-time and let's build something that lasts. Because the HitLab is where digital strategy meets data-driven content creation.
So when you're thinking about that, so when you go grocery shopping, there's trust because it's been vetted by the FDA or whatever it is that people trust, right? Well, that's the same people that let the fast food restaurants serve you whatever it may be. That's the whole point of just having an open mind. One, it was a lot easier to drive past the fast food restaurants and eat something else. It was a lot easier than I thought it was going to be to make those changes. But, when we actually used to eat fast food, like at the dinner table, like they would go get Crystal or KFC or McDonald's or Burger King, whatever, and the family would sit down and eat dinner like it was cooked, but it was fast food. I think it was different back then.
Yes.
I was on a farm, so we didn't have as much because we raised everything. Do you know what I mean? But we had a farm with pesticide everywhere. And it goes back to this. I didn't even know this. I didn't know places like McDonald's were subsidized by our government because they were they think it was good for families to eat it. No one stopped that point from subsidization to nutrition and health for people. It was that connection's wasn't there. Do you know what I mean? And our parents didn't know it. So like for us, McDonald's or Dairy Queen were a treat. Like it was but they always made it like so special. We were so happy that when I got to be older and I started having money in college, for me, this is like, oh my gosh, I'm rewarding myself. This is a treat. Why don't I have it 7 times? I'm working at that point, right? On my own. Why don't I have that 7 times a week? Why don't I have that breakfast, lunch, and dinner? Because my parents and I have great parents. So I'm not talking, they were really good like yours were, I'm sure. Yeah. But still, my mind tricked me. Do you know what I mean? Into thinking it was okay. I'm like you. I don't mind driving past them at all anymore. Like I don't even.
When there's just nothing but commercials and it's just in your face 24/7, you think, again, as someone that doesn't know any better, that's what they truly believe in their heart, that no matter what they buy at the grocery store, at a fast food restaurant, it's okay. Someone approved it.
I mean, I coached soccer and I was coaching soccer and I remember I bought all the kids Happy Meals because it's Happy Meals, right? And I look back, I'm like, great. I'm like coaching soccer, giving them these Happy Meals, making them, that would never make someone sick on purpose, but I'm not giving them what they need. Yeah. And I think I want people to understand it's not like I woke up and knew everything. It's a learning process. And that's why when we're getting ready to start a series, and I would love for you guys to be on it. We're taking literature reviews and white papers that I've written, and we're having people debate it and talk about it. And one of the main reasons I'm doing that is because I want mothers and fathers and families to know science and boil it down to basics. And I'm always like, give the top 3 points that every mother needs to know about her child's body. Because right now, we're listening to people out there that are basically have either read a textbook and they've been trained the same for 50 years and nothing's changed, or they're in marketing, but they're not learning the real truth behind what's happening. And I think that's where the company's different. It is family oriented. I know there's a lot of companies that are doing that, but one of the goals of the company is to make every mother and father know their children's body so they can make the best choices for their children and grandchildren and family instead of having to go to someone that they rely on that may not have accurate information.
That's there to give them a Band-Aid for their problem and not get to the root of the actual problem. As a mom and the space that I'm in a lot of what people call crunchy organic, this trust the science is not the same as your science, in my opinion. Your science is based on real nutrition, what God put on this earth for us to put nutrients in our body and make us perform at our top level. And if you don't know these things you're trying to teach, these 3 things about your kids, there's no way for you to be able to do that.
But you're the person I want to work with, because here's why. You're the person that already cared about the family, that looked into what you should cook and what you should do, and you care. So you can't convince me that you're any less intelligent than someone that went to medical school, because you're more intelligent about your family because you care, because you're spending your life making that a priority. And there's nothing more important than your husband and your family unit. And we keep forgetting that, right? And we've got to remember it.
I mean, I shredded cheese before my daughter's scrambled eggs because the only way she eats them, it's grass-fed cheese. I shredded that before I left today because I knew my mother-in-law would probably, God only knows what she would put in there. Not that it's even in my house, but I do that because I can just sleep better knowing that they're getting what their body needs and they're not going to have some kind of meltdown later because of the food that I gave them.
I'll let you talk about grass-fed in a second.
I want to tell you though that when I did your podcast, he talked about you the entire time, and he did mention that he had been overweight, but I didn't really believe that. Like, I didn't completely. I believed you. I didn't think you were lying to me, but I thought, maybe he had a couple of pounds he needed to lose.
For 10 years, my belly button went out, and then it went back to being an innie later. So I was so inflated that everything just went boop.
And then when the innie went back in, the outie went out again.
That's right.
And up again. Okay.
He's like, that's a good trade. So I forgot my train of thought. There was 3 things I wanted to hit on. Subsidies. Here's an interesting thing on subsidies. Would it not be amazing to create a food business that you could sell something for $1 and make 3? That'd be a great idea, right? That's a good business. So the problem that we have in this country with corporate interests, corporate businesses, lobbying, and government, you can get a Happy Meal. You can get a McChicken sandwich for $1. You can get a burger for $1. You can go get another sandwich from another place for $1. How do they get the meat to make something for $1? Because they've negotiated through their lobbying activities with the government to say, if we provide discounted meals, you're going to pay us $3 and we're going to charge $1. Now, that's truth. Now, here's the craziest part. You want to know the largest subsidy that's based in this country based on food supply? The sugar industry can push and produce as much sugar as they want. And if the business base does not have the ability to buy and consume everything produced, the government pays for the balance.
Okay.
So you wonder why there's so much sugar in everything? Because, well, if there's an incentive to just continue to produce it and produce it and produce it and produce it, and you know you're getting paid for it regardless of how it's used, that's a hell of a business model, right? And that's not talked about because you're never going to talk about what's really feeding the system, who's really getting money under the table. Yeah. You're not going to ever talk about that, right? But that's part of our problem. We can talk pyramids and everything all the time, but how about we talk about change? But here's the funny part, and going back to conversations we've had in different countries. Do you know who's responsible for making those changes and making those choices? It's not government. It's not businesses. It's people. We choose. We choose. We choose what we make. We choose what we consume. We choose what we provide. We choose what we buy.
You choose if you eat bleach powder. Bleach flour and bleach sugar. Do you want to give your kids bleach? No.
Right.
But yeah, you're going to give them bleach powder. I'm flour or powder or sugar. I'm just saying, how crazy is that?
That's even an option.
That's an option. Because you'll go to the store unbleached, and I'm like, come on, like who's eating the bleached? But I remember being younger.
A lot of people.
I was going to say they don't have the money. When we launched Brood, I was so concerned because the price was so high of what we were producing. And at one point, I had worked at other companies and they would never produce what I wanted. It was too expensive. The margins were too low. And they were like, no, we can't do it at that level, Christina. So when Restore was made, we had these going back and forth. And I will say, I argued a lot. I finally said, don't launch it or don't use my name because I won't approve it unless it's this concentration of turmeric, curcumin, and black cumin seed. And I'm with the purest form. And Clay was like, well, it's going to stain people's teeth.
That was the original
It's going to stain their
conversation.
clothes. I go, good, but it's going to clean the inside of their body and help support their body so the imperfections are gone. Again, not claiming to cure, but to try to make the body perfect like God made it, right? So I went back to him. So finally one day he comes in my office and he's like, okay, we'll do it your way. And I said, listen, I haven't.
That wasn't a couple of days. That was about 35 minutes.
No, it was a
I
while.
want
We
to
were
earn
arguing.
fun tickets.
Okay, we were arguing. But Clay, then I said, now I'm worried though that everyone can't afford it. And that's when I went back to Clay and said, we've got to put the money in the hands of the people that can help everyone, that will give back to humanity. And I also said the burden's on us because if we run a company and we don't give back, then we're not the examples we want everyone else to set. And that's on us, right? And that was a back and forth discussion. It's still a discussion. I woke up at 1:30 in the morning last night, worried about different things, worrying about our world. I mean, I know you guys have to as people as well, not just the United States, but the world. And knowing that there's options for people. And I do believe organic is the best option. I don't think organic from a nuclear waste side is.
That's right.
Now I do understand though that the grass, and I think he was going to touch upon this. If it has GMOs in the grass and the cows eat it, then the cows have it. So you have to be very careful when you ask people, like there's at the farmer's market, there's a couple of places that produce meat that you know it's really organic and they're not using grass where they're planting GMO seeds because you can't have them eat that. And we're lucky we live in Nashville, Tennessee, where you have some places like that will sell you cows. We buy them.
That's right.
And like Fresh Market, Whole Foods, there are places that are very careful about that. But again, you look at the rest of society, how are they going to afford it? And the burden, in my opinion, is on us. You don't need 20 houses in a family. I'm just going to speak for us. You know, you don't need 20 cars. What you need is to help humanity. And that's a burden that lays on my heart every night I go to sleep and every morning when I get up.
But here's an important part for business. And this is one of the things, well, it's the foundation in everything that we've done. And we put our faith and our mission and our purpose in the logo. Right. So if you want to get attacked in this country, put a cross in the middle of your logo.
Sure.
Right. Trust me. I put a target right on my chest, right? Which was intentional because the symbolism that you see in society a lot of times is to misdirect you. But the key for us was putting our principles right in front of you. You might not see it initially, but the principles, the purpose, the mission is all aligned in everything that we're doing. And if your goal is to serve, right, and your basis is to serve, and if I give you $100 million, right, what would you do with it? Would you keep all of it? So what if that was the understanding foundation to everything that you built your business on, knowing, one, an empire is never built by one. But if those of us that have faith, that understand where we come from and who we are and who we're made to serve, because we are all connected. We are all 6 degrees from 6.5 billion people, right? And if that's the case, would you not build your entire business philosophy around being able to give? Because what you hear from entrepreneurs that achieve financial success and exit and it's, I made $20 million, I made $100 million, I made $1 billion. Now I'm going to create a nonprofit organization so I can give away a little bit.
Yeah.
If we're already all connected, and that's the truth, right? We're each an imperfect piece to a perfect puzzle. My favorite philosopher wrote that a couple years ago. It's the philosopher that I've studied more than any philosopher in history, and I've studied a lot of philosophy, but it's amazing when your wife puts that in her first book. Oh. But if this is truth, and if you know philosophically, based on your faith, that we are here not just to accumulate on our own, but we're here to give and to serve and to help, and that we're already all connected. So advertising and promotion is built within us, because if we find something we like, we're taught show and tell, and it's what we do. So couldn't you not just take your marketing budget, your ad budget, which is normally 40 to 50% of your top line revenue anyway, and just put it into the people that are going to create the value for you in the first place? And would it not be cool that if you took that philosophy, you didn't hype it because you couldn't, because you don't want to lie, you don't want to say that you're doing something that you're not doing, and if you haven't proven it, you can't talk about it. But you built a mechanism that gave away $100 million in 5 years. But you were recognized as one of the fastest growing companies in America, and you didn't spend $1 on advertising and social media and promotion. You just gave it away to people that created the value based on the outcomes that were created in the first place. That would be dope. And that was the foundation to everything that we were putting together when we were talking business, because the foundation was, what are you going to do to take care of our family? How are you going to create it? And then the second conversation was, it is my deal with God that I'm giving away half of everything that I make. And she's done this long before BC, right? Gotcha. Before Clayton.
Okay. If that wasn't a thing, it just became one.
So this was a conversation she had with me. She's like, look, we're going to give away half of everything.
Before we dated. I said, if we're going to date, you need to understand and it was before I would go out with Clay, and we had known each other for a while. It was important to me that he understood it, and I didn't believe he could accept it. And so I said, you have to accept it, because this is just how it's going to be. And because I'll tell you what I said to him. I said, we're going to make money. I've done a lot of businesses, and it's because if you live your life and really strive to do a mission, it happens. But here's the reason for the mission. It's because we have to help humanity. And I feel like we lost track a couple of times. I want to be really honest with everyone. I feel like there's times where I was like, I just feel like I could have done a better job. You know, there's a lot of things, like when I looked over last year and the year before, what can I cut out that I don't need? What can I make different? Like one of the things, we have a clothing line we sell through Root. I'll give you an example, and you'll identify with this. I like to buy clothes. I like to buy shoes. I like to buy purses. And we have a fashion brand, and I would love for you to be involved in it in some way, because we travel all over the world. We're getting ready to go to Kenya. We have 250 diplomats there. We're doing presidents, prime ministers. They see our fashion shows because we're trying to show the world you need a protective piece of clothing. Like this is one of our outfits that looks good, but it's protecting you while you're wearing it. So it has protective science built into the clothing, right? But it looks good. And you may say to me, why does it matter what it looks like? Well, I'll ask your wife, why does it matter what it looks like?
Because it makes you feel good.
It makes you feel good, which can make
Dion said that. Look good, feel good, play good.
But
play good, pay good. That's right.
But through that, we ended up coming up, our whole group, and Stephanie, Joy, Cam, Clayton. I mean, we've all worked so hard. Lindsay on that brand, and we basically get 30 outfits, and then we have to bring back 30 outfits. But then I started questioning myself. Wait a minute, are the 30 outfits I'm buying, like from a brand, really what I want to be buying? That's depicting the message we're trying to send. Mm-hmm. And there's nothing wrong with buying a Chanel or a Gucci, but there is if you've bought 100 and you don't give it back to society. So we ended up giving it back to the Rahm Foundation and raising money for people that need the money, right?
And we love secondhand refurbished
and
stuff.
that's important. Mm-hmm. But that was a catch on my part. And if you ask me, how did I notice that? I looked at my closet. I looked at our office. And then I was like, this is something I need to change. And I feel like as a mother and as a wife, I'm accountable for that. So he's probably not going to say anything to me because he wants to make me happy, right? And he wants the clothing brand to be successful. But for me, that was one of the aha moments at the end of the year last year of knowing, and that's just an example. And I look at our whole lives like that. We have to continuously make changes so we can be better example for our children and for the rest of the world, even though they may not accept us as that's something that the world likes, because they like beautiful things and the nicest, expensive things, right? And I'm saying that because I think this is a continuous process as a couple, and I see you guys doing that too, to try to refine things and make life better. Your start is the food you're eating and what you're doing to take care of your family. But then hopefully these family units that we're creating or we're supporting throughout the world are doing even more things to help, because there's so much to do.
It should be a domino effect.
It should be a domino effect.
And if it's not, then you need to go back to the place you were right before that. Like, why am I not wanting to go to the next level and making things better?
Yeah.
But it also goes with how you start, right? That's the key, because there's paralysis by analysis, and then there's just the foundation of people look at the scenario and go, oh, the whole thing's polluted, the toxic, I got my kids, what do I do first?
Yeah.
You know, and which goes back to the philosophy of what my mom used to tell me as a kid: clean your room.
Yeah.
First thing, make your bed, clean your room. Why? Those two principles go forward really easily. And the same thing goes from an environmental standpoint in the body. Clean your room.
Yeah.
We're polluted from conception, so you got to clean house.
It's like when the pandemic happened, right? A lot of people were vaccinated and some people weren't. And people ask me all the time, because I was a scientist that worked at Pfizer. I worked at J&J. I worked for Janssen, which is the central nervous system development and division of J&J. But I
Did you work at Bristol Myers Squibb on this stuff on HIV research a long time ago too?
I worked with a lot of companies, and mRNA was a type of technology that's programmed to really target a disease state or to be used in a vaccine so it can work more effectively. And I say this all the time, and people have a very hard time understanding what I'm saying. It's a great technology. It's efficacious. It works. The side effect profile is something we've never been able. When I was a scientist, we weren't able to have the safest profile. And so the problem was people with autoimmune disorders and different things that were happening, we had some negative results. And I see this with a unique viewpoint. So it's kind of like, you played baseball, you've had children, you have a career, you've done different things. We all have a different viewpoint. Think about me as a scientist that worked at all these companies. I saw every side of it. I understand you have to have money to make technology that makes things better. And I understand pharmaceutical and biotech companies have helped this world. I also understand the greed and the power that can be associated, and how some people, if they don't go to God on their knees every night, or they don't question themselves, can be fooled into making the wrong decision, right? And I think that's why, with the lawsuit with Bayer and Moderna and J&J, I see it differently than other people. I see it as companies sue each other. Yeah. They share the same technology. But if you really dig into that, some of that technology was, which I've said this from the beginning, even on podcasts, has been around since the 80s, 90s, right? Because when people ask, how did that get done like that? I'm like, it's not how that worked, right? Yeah. And now it's all coming into the light. I was very supportive of people, whether they wanted to get vaccinated or not, because I understood it was a personal decision. It's like if I told you, you need to eat this for dinner, and your wife, you go home, she matters a lot more than me, right? So I can't make you do anything. You have more of an ability to control the family unit because you love them. You're taking care of them. So what I really wanted to do is talk to mothers about the pros and cons and let them make a decision. Mm-hmm. The cons for me were, we didn't have research on boys, for example, and what would happen with their hearts and their bodies. So be careful if you're giving that to your sons. The research for me was, what about women of childbearing age or who haven't had children? Is that going to impact fertility? Because other vaccines have in the past. Mm-hmm. You have to weigh both, because what you're doing is you're lowering an immune system. And the problem is, if they get another virus, even COVID during that, it can just plummet, and the body sometimes can't handle it. So again, this goes, I'll tell you my analogy. Do you want to jump out of a plane without a parachute? My answer is no, but your answer might be yes. I can't control it. And I felt like those facts were things we had to fundamentally break down. Instead, it became an argument across our world where people hated each other. Yeah. That was just devastating to me, because what I wanted to do is take every person aside, not that I could change their mind, but let them understand I'm not against vaccines. I'm not against pharmaceutical. I'm for people. I'm for their bodies. I'm for their lives. So if you put something in your body, how are you going to get rid of it? because it's there now, right? So that was a concern of mine. And I say that because then people will say, I just got criticized the other day because they were like, Christina's pro-vaccines. I go, that's not what I said at all. Like, listen to my words. Yeah. This is what I'm saying. Because strategically, for all of us to work together to get to the next level, to help humanity, we have to be strategic. And I'm speaking with you because you're a mother. I love how Clay goes out and he'll break the china, right? He's the bull in the china shop. I love that about him. It's one of my most...
I'll also eat on it.
I never want him to change, but I also understand strategically, if we can get this information out there, we can implement changes person by person so they understand what you're putting in your body can impact you negatively. It's not a short-term thing. You get a shot. If you think it's not a long-term thing, you're wrong. Does that make sense?
It does. And that's being informed about anything as a consumer.
Yeah.
You should always be informed before you make a purchase or a choice. Yeah. It doesn't matter.
And you shouldn't be pushed into it. I want to say this. I'm going to tell you as a scientist, red flag, red flag, red flag. It's like if you look back and what we used to do when we did studies a long time ago is we went to the poorest areas of this country and people that were not white, and we were doing experiments. And if you ask me, was that okay? It wasn't okay, right? But it happened. And so for me, it's looking at all the facts surrounding it, talking about it, and then implementing change. And if we can do that strategically, we can make changes to this country and to the world. If we don't and we blow it up and we all get sued and we all go to jail, that's not going to work. I'm being honest because we're living in a time that was different than when we were little. When we were all little, we could say whatever we wanted and not be attacked. We're not in that same situation anymore.
Can I ask you one question? This will be long wording to get the question, probably short answer.
And then after this, we'll pivot to the product. I want to get a lot about, as much as we can about the product.
As a mom who's had Lyme's disease, who's had a brain tumor, who's had a spine tumor, who's had every kind of skin cancer, who's lost a child to cancer, who's had another child who had cancer, who has a master's in science, 3 PhDs, PsyD, EDD, MD, Harvard postdoc, 2 Cornell postdocs, former adjunct professor in oncology and hematology from Johns Hopkins, 20 years in biotech. Knowing what you know,
not everything was accurate, but okay. I mean,
would
almost accurate.
In your personal opinion, based on what you know and what you've experienced, would you take any of those shots? In your personal opinion, just for you.
So just so everyone knows, and this was turned around on me, I think Stephanie knows this, on a comment on one of the social media channels. I have been vaccinated probably more than anyone I know because I've worked in over 90 countries. So the problem was before this with Clay, I didn't have an option. Does that make sense? Yeah. I do know that at some of the companies I worked with, we did not do flu vaccines because we understood that it was last year's flu and like we're just giving ourselves another chance to get sick, right? Yeah. And everyone has a different opinion about that. That was my opinion. So I did not do that with my children. We did it 1 year. It was a disaster and will never happen again. My kids were very little when that happened. And so for me, I've been vaccinated quite a bit. I have never been pro-vaccine, to be honest with you. Like, I fought for my kids. I had their vaccines separated when they were little, so they weren't getting the mass vaccines. Now, 2 of my, because I don't know if you guys remember this or how it was when you had kids, but you couldn't leave the hospital at one point unless your kids were vaccinated, or they made you think you couldn't, and your pediatrician wouldn't see you, right? It was crazy. And I think what's so interesting about this is I remember my second son was born in San Diego, California, and you had so many of those doctors, and I was working at Pfizer at the time, so many of the doctors that were anti-vaccine, but yet if you were their patient, your kids had to be vaccinated. Does that make sense? It was crazy. So 2 of the kids that I have, actually, 2 of my kids were impacted by vaccines. And I saw the difference, and I was very upset and mad at myself more than anything because what I did, I separate most of them. So you weren't getting 3 or 4 at the time. The thing I couldn't control with my kids was at the hospital. And even the 4 kids throughout their high school, college, everything was longer, and they didn't get every vaccine. So I want to say that again. My children, like when they came out with the vaccine that for sexually transmitted diseases, because it could cause cancer, no. I understood the long-term effects. I understood the back end of the science. So when this particular vaccine was launched, I was not happy during this period of history, right? That we just launched 5 years ago. However, my hope was that the right people would not take that. I couldn't control it. I mean, my family did. It's not, and again, it's not that I think they're bad or they're going to die immediately. It's just, it takes longer to get that out of your system and to really support the body so you can remediate and have the healthier option. And I think that's why Clean Slate was so integral to me. Like, it was so important. And I told him, if I could give any gift, I would give Clean Slate to every single person I know in the world. And he knows that's something I want to do.
That's like, I feel like from using most of the products, that is the one thing, like learning about it and knowing what it does. I feel the exact same way. That's the one thing product. I'm like an addict. I will be an addict of Clean Slate for life.
Well, this is a great segue to kind of get into the products, because the product line is very diverse. I'm proud to, I say all the time, we take the whole line. We don't take 100% of everything, but it's most of it. The coffee is probably one of the most it's probably the best kept secret on earth, and we need to fix that. The coffee's unbelievable.
We sold out during Christmas, so we're fixing it.
Thank God. Let's go.
We're going.
Let's go.
Yeah.
Are you ready to take your brand digital? At HitLab Creative, we don't just make content. We build your digital foundation from the ground up. So whether you're launching a podcast, creating scroll-stopping social media content, or building a website that actually converts, we connect all the dots. Visit hitlabstudio.com/studio-time and let's build something that lasts. Because the HitLab is where digital strategy meets data-driven content creation.
You know, I was introduced with Zero In First, which is my favorite. It's my favorite nootropic or supplement on the earth. Like, I literally can't go. I have some on my body at all times, 24/7.
Clay. That's how Clay is.
Yeah, I have to have it. The Clean Slate, and you know, there's a Trinity pack, there's a Performance pack. You know, one, how do people start being introduced to the product line? One, and two, because it is what it is, and because there's always going to be an Amazon $10 version of what they say is the same, yet it's not. I want to make sure that we really hit that today. How do people, when they get introduced to the brand, what's the best place to start? How do they to introduce themselves to it, to play? And then again, when you see like Zero In, if it's $70 or whatever it is, they're going to say, well, they can find a nootropic for $19 on Amazon, and it says it's the same thing, but it's just not. Right. So what do you think? And you can also, I was introduced to it first, and I introduced you to it poorly, and then we had to go to the office and Clay explained what it all was.
Yes. And then I was like, oh, okay, now I get it.
But everybody can't do that.
Yeah. Yeah, that's true.
That's why we do stuff like this, so we can replay it.
I feel like I'm going to go back to this. I wish every mother, every family had Clean Slate. I wish people would try it before they get pregnant. We've had so many people get pregnant. And again, I'm not making a claim we get everyone pregnant. It's just that by cleaning out the body naturally does what it's supposed to do. So I always
Can we make ugly people sexy enough so that they can find a partner?
I don't believe anyone's ugly, just so everyone knows. So.
You told me that when we first met. You're like, this is going to change.
I did, but not like... That's not what I meant.
Dude, that's probably why it took us 10 years for Ansley to come along, because that was Fat Nick era, and we were trying to have a second child, and it didn't happen.
Probably.
God was like, that rudely, but probably. Like that.
Yeah. It's probably definitely
connected. Started eating healthier. We went to an event in Switzerland. I'll never forget. I was not prepared for this. I wanted to stay in the hotel. Clay was like, we have to go to this event. There's a lot of people waiting to talk to you. I was like, I'm not doing it today. Clay, he goes, you're going to do it. So I went. And I swear, one person after another came and cried about they had gotten pregnant. And it goes back to, you cleaned up his diet. We're just helping clean people's bodies. And I know that Clean Slate, some people take one drop in the morning, some take one drop at night. Have to have a lot of water. It needs to be filtered water. It needs to be water that's clean. However, Clean Slate is one of the products that can clean water, right? So I want people to understand, like, if we're traveling internationally and we can't get water, I always forget, and Clay's like, just put Clean Slate in it. I'm like, you're right. And we just made an agreement. And when we go to Belize, we go to Mexico, every time we have water, we're going to put Clean Slate or Clean Spirits in it because you're cleaning it. And Clean Spirits is different. It's more targeted towards the organs of your body. It actually has trademarks that say liver support. And it's not just for people that drink though. It's to really clean out the system. So I believe people should start with Clean Slate. We have a different opinion.
I know we're on.
I want people to start on that first because even though you love Zero In, I believe you'll never get the true impact of Zero In unless he's taking Clean Slate.
You're right.
That's why you take the two together.
That's why everybody wants a clean slate.
Yeah.
And then you put in everything else.
If you got a blackboard like we used to have in the old days, or if you got a vibe board, or if you've got a whiteboard and you've drawn all over it and there's a bunch of just noise on it, and you don't wipe it all off before you start something new, are you going to see what you're trying to put on the board? No, you're not. You've got to clean it all off.
You're adding to the noise.
But you just said something really interesting. You said Clean Slate cleans up water, right?
Well, yeah, it's one of the reasons it's cleaning the body.
Okay.
Yeah, because you're
and the body's made of?
Mostly water.
Oh, so
And I don't think people know that. Right. Yeah.
So for me, it's actually the combination of what you guys were hitting on and what is the foundation for me.
Are you trying to have more children, by the way?
No, I'm done.
Okay. Because people get pregnant on the products that aren't trying to have children.
Did
you know that?
It's supposed to be impossible for me to do that now.
Okay.
I think there's still a fraction of a chance.
He wouldn't nip the tip, but there was a snip.
I'm 45, so I hope not.
Yeah.
Oh, it's still possible.
I'm aware.
But Clean Slate and Zero In were the first two products that we introduced. The duo and the combination. And then, it was like being a one-man wolf pack, and then it found its friends. We went from the duo of Clean Slate and Zero In intentionally. And then we added Restore, to make the trinity. But Clean Slate and Zero In together are so crucial, right? Because one, you've got to start cleaning up, you've got to start upgrading. But the one thing that is so important for all of us is feeding the engine the gasoline it needs to allow the driver to drive this vehicle like you stole it. The key to that is dopamine and serotonin, right? And you can look at all the stuff going on, all the noise around us is all pinging dopamine receptors in the brain, right? And if you use external influences to manipulate serotonin and dopamine, you can control the driver. That's the trick. But if you feed the engine, if you fill up your gas tank, right, and then the gas runs into the engine, right, this is Zero In because it's strategically bioengineered to combine 7 of the best pure, highly specifically identified and acquired in the right quality, in the right combination to feed the gut what it needs to naturally, my favorite word in this is endogenous.
There it is.
Because it's a multi-syllabic word. I love that.
I remember the first time you guys sent me when we were recording our first, I had to tell people about it. I remember I had to look up how to pronounce that word.
Right? You've got to give the body what it needs to do what it does. And this is the flaw in all of social media right now. You hear all this commentary. We could pick a subject and go down and be like, nope, GLP-1s are actually produced in the gut. GLP-2s are produced in the gut. Dopamine produced in the gut. Serotonin produced in the gut. You need a needle? No. You need to feed this what it needs and clean it up. Right? So if you start to clean it up and then you feed it, you can naturally produce dopamine and serotonin. Not over days, not over weeks, in freaking minutes. Because if you go to the Exxon station, why? Because I have an Exxon card. I love Exxon. Send me money. If you go to the Exxon station, it's advertising and promo.
Oh.
Nick and I are getting money for this deal.
He just got a deal right now.
I'm getting an Exxon card. You know how much gas the truck takes? 136 freaking gallons. If you put gas in the gas tank of your vehicle and you're running at a 16th of a tank and you fill it up to full, you know by the time you start the car, it's running different. You're going to have a different level of performance. Our body is the same way. It's frequency based. We don't need digestion. If you give it good things, it knows immediately. It's bioelectric. You need a bioscience engineer to do that. If you need a bioscience engineer that's going to program you appropriately, allow me to introduce you to my little friend.
Hey.
But the combination of the two is going to start to clean stuff up. It's going to give the body the bioavailable silica. It's going to give the body the trace minerals. That starts this upgrade process. It's the software update you get on your phone, right? Your body's like, oh, wow, you're giving me some tools to work with now. Mm-hmm. And then as you do that and you feed the body the ability to make dopamine and serotonin, you start feeling better. You function better. You start doing the things that you want to do at a rate you've never imagined possible.
Yeah.
Would it not be crazy that those two products actually have patents filed for the ability to address what we'll call the symptoms of ADD, ADHD, and autism? Have you filed for patents on those based on proven clinical case studies and publications that support what I just said?
Yeah, I have. They're patent-
So the patents are already filed and already in place because of what's been proven over the last 5 years, that we've had loads of kids that some of which couldn't even talk, couldn't function, kids with ADD, ADHD.
Patents don't get approved overnight, but the ones that were filed in 2015, 16, 17, 18, 19, and I think 20 and 21, most of those have been approved. The ones I filed this year will take a little bit of time, but even, like I said, getting the trademark for clean spirits for liver support and liver metabolism was huge for us because that's almost impossible. Do you know what I mean? So Clay has some really good points. These are things that really can impact the world, and not just, and I say this all the time, you may have a child that has ADHD or autism or is hyper, or not based on you, Nick.
Who knew?
My son was telling me the baby today was hiccuping and moving all around, and they were saying in the ultrasound, I bet one of you would never sit still when your mother was pregnant. And he goes, Mom, I said, that was me. I go, it was you.
You were a
you
biter.
passed that down, right? You passed that down. So for me, it was really important to file for those things that we should show that it works, right? That it can help people, not even making the claim that Zero In was the only product, but showing people what they could do. My goal is not to make the most money or have the number one brand. My goal is to change the world for health and for each person at a time. And I want to go back again to this. You understood when you met your husband, he was perfect in your eyes, but you wanted to make him even better because we all have imperfections, even if we love people. And people have asked me, as you've grown with your career and with meeting different presidents and prime ministers or growing your brand, have you been around more good or bad people? And my answer is both. Like you can't, I'm sure you know this. It's like when you guys are out there, you're going to meet good and bad people. Your body is continuously, the more you're upgrading, and I want people to hear this, the more you're upgrading, your body will try to be attacked because the host, and you're the host, but the things in your body want to take over the host. That's a fact.
Are moths attracted to bright flames or dim ones?
To the bright ones. And so I think this is something I really want the world to hear because it applies to your body, not just to your life. The more power you have, the more money you have, the more you succeed, the more you're going to be around good and bad people. And you have to figure out how to deal with that. So your close circle is good. They believe in you. They have your back. You got to give that to your body. And I feel like Clean Slate and Zero In and Restore were the first 3 steps to give back. And I want to go back to this. In my mind, those first 3 products, I was worried. He knows this. I said, well, if something happens and we don't have a food supply, these 3 things we can make. And he said to me, what if we can't source all of those things? And I said, we're just going to have to figure it out. It was like God honestly stepped in and helped us. Because if you ask me, how did you figure out during a pandemic how to even get paper for products when you can't get toilet paper for your house? Great question. I'm going to tell you how hard it was. Then how do you take that brand and take it to over 90 countries in 5 years, over 27 countries in a year? A lot of prayer, a lot of focus on the family, a lot of focus on how do we do something that everyone says we can't. We didn't. What it goes back to is we did it with a group of people that believed in the mission. And that's why having people like you that we work with is so important because, again, it goes back to what are we trying to achieve? We can't do it alone. This is not a brand that's our brand, really. Yeah. It's a brand that we will all grow together. You may come to me in 2 years and say, I feel like, let me pick a product, natural barrier support needs to have something added. And I may say, well, let me look into that and see if I can make it better. I'm not going to make products worse. I'm not going to do what other companies have done. But I am going to listen to other mothers. I'm not going to just listen to scientists and doctors. I'm going to listen to the people that their feeding their body to make their life better, and they're supporting their family so we can make a change in this mission, not just with cellular health of our own, but with the world. And that's why it's so important for me to work with mothers and to work with families so that we can do that together. But those first 3 products, which are called the Trinity, were made for a reason.
Rhiannon, when it comes to the line, to the product line, what's the most valuable piece of information, in your opinion, that we need to make sure that we get out today to truly capture? Well, quite frankly, it's one of one. Every product is one of one. It's special, it's unique, and there isn't, in my opinion, there's not a close second to it, right? So there's a lot of everybody's a spokesman for methylene blue or peptide this or whatever it may be that. I feel like I could survive just off the product line alone, if I'm being honest. That's
designed intelligently, because the question becomes, what's your background in bioscience engineering?
Mine is whatever. It's sitting across from me.
And most consumers.
I would say that he knows his body because he was an athlete.
No, but most consumers are making buying decisions based on what they hear socially from different areas, and then they're going to a store, they're going online, and they're picking one product over here and one product over there, one product here. They heard about this ingredient, so they're going to grab that. They don't understand pharmacokinetics. They don't understand their own body, because they probably haven't done a comprehensive genetic test to understand how they function.
I want to stop you there. That was a great point. Pharmacogenetics, right? Yep. They don't understand steady state, peak plasma. I would love to meet with you and just explain all of it, right? Because this is second nature for me, but every mother should know that. Like when you give someone food, your child, there's a peak plasma, there's a steady state. Anything we put in our body, it hits its highest at a certain time. It maintains it for a certain amount of time. I'm not always right. And I want to use an example of when I'm not always right. We have a product called Immune Defense Shield. And I knew that doing a NAD and quercetin magnesium vitamin blend was going to be fantastic because I know the mitochondria, the telomeres, I want to look younger, right? So when I did patents around reversal of aging and the skin, hair, and nails and remediation of the body and the land, air, and water, it pertained to things like Zero In and Clean Slate and Clean Spirits, but also Immune Defense Shield, because you have to support the telomeres and the mitochondria to really look younger and feel younger and to clean out the cells. What I didn't understand, because I was one of the first of its kind to have a 2-year stabilization, and it wasn't a needle, and I'm not against the needles. The problem is I wanted to clean the NAD, because NAD and quercetin are like peptides. They hold on to heavy metals. I got sick with this virus. You know, there's a couple of things that have happened in my life during 2025. I started understanding through that in the beginning of this year that Immune Defense Shield should probably be taken 3 times a day and not all at once, because it's hitting me within 30 minutes. Does that make sense? Like I'm feeling the change, which I never paid attention to because typically I'm doing great, right? But when you're traveling to 4 countries within 2 weeks, you're hit with everything, right?
It's wild.
It's wild. And so now I have figured out, and I even told, Joy and Stephanie in our office, I have not been presenting this, right? So you're one of the first 2 people to hear this.
Wow.
We need to, because I can take one Immune Defense Shield, and within 30 minutes, if I have stuff in my chest or in my head or I'm coughing, I feel better. And like last night, I woke up in the middle of the night at 1:30, and that was one of the things I did. I went to the bathroom and I took Immune Defense Shield because I was coughing so much. And I'm saying that because I want to be a spokesperson of the truth. Mm-hmm. And if I make a mistake as a scientist and I say, just take it once a day, and then I figure out, oh my gosh, this should have been taken more, and you're not spending more money because you're basically doing it throughout the day, that's a game changer. Now, are you going to stop your day 3 times a day to do it on a normal day? Probably not. But I'm telling you that when people get sick. A second thing that happened to me, I understand. So I'm working with some of the doctors and scientists in the Human Genome Project and figured out that I was told, colon cancer, 70% in 20s and 30s for women. I was like, what? And then when I started understanding, there was one product we had in our line that really helped my stomach because I've always had colitis. I've always had problems with GI. It was Relive Greens, which has a pre and probiotic, and the GMOs have been taken out. I go in and have a routine colonoscopy October of last year. I had been gone for 3.5 years or 3.5 weeks to the Middle East and to Europe. And I honestly do not blame, and I mean this, the doctor for this. It was just a mistake. Things happened, right? And they took a polyp out. I later found out that it was precancerous cells. And again, guys, I want to speak to the audience. I've had cancer since I was in my 20s. Okay. It's always going to come back. I'm always going to deal with it. And I would love to say it never will. But the facts are my body has had that just like a bacteria or a parasites. So it's something I always will have a challenge with. And I don't get depressed about that. I'm just like, this is me. This is how God made me. There's a reason. Relive greens is one of the few things that will make my stomach feel good within 15 to 20 minutes. And after that surgery, it was one of the few things I could eat along with my mother's sourdough bread that's homemade. I'm saying that because when you're asking me about products, one of the things I would love for us to do more and more, talking on podcast and being on things, is talking about these solutions that can help other families and their children. Because it used to be, if you were a mother, you weren't worried about colon cancer with your kids. Why would you be? People aren't getting colon cancer unless they're usually in their 60s, right? Yeah. Sometimes 50s, but usually 60s. And now it's in their 20s. And I'm not trying to cause anyone to be scared, but I'm trying to show you how when you say there's a long line of products, it's because there's different needs for different products for different things.
And they're all intelligently designed and created to work strategically together in combination to address what the body needs. So one, the trust aspect, and this is where Clean Slate and Zero In come in. It's like, start with those because one, we already have the truth. We already know what they do, but every consumer has to build trust. It's like, look, don't take the whole thing. If you want to buy a car, what do they tell you to do? Let's go for a test drive.
Yeah.
Don't buy it right now. Let's go for a test drive. Get an experience with it. Try it. Then you're like, oh, I kind of like it. Okay, so you're going to buy it. But you have a literal quantum physicist, nanotechnologist, and bioscience engineer that's created an entire series of proven products that are all, this is a term I didn't know existed until she used it. I had to look it up because she has orthorexia. It is her one flaw. She doesn't pronounce some words right. Like my favorite dog that runs in the woods.
It's not my one flaw, but it's one of my faults. Yeah.
I haven't found the other ones yet. I keep looking.
Oh, the woofs. Yeah.
The what?
The woofs.
Yes, the woof. But you have a literal quantum physicist, bioscience engineer that understands these components, that's built the entire series for you. Yeah. It's like, look, if we go out to eat, we go to Kane because that's where we go for good food. I need my bone marrow. I need my olive-fed Wagyu. And it's like, give me what's best on the menu. We don't go in there and go, well, see what I did? I went down to Crystal's. I got some French fries. And then I got an extra burger because I want to add that. And they go, not here. We got this because I'm coming to you because you guys are using the best ingredients and you curated this experience. And I know going in what I'm getting because the entire experience has been done by experts.
Yeah.
The same thing comes to our health. When we were coming together on this, I was an athlete long ago. I even worked out once this year. I'm so proud of myself. Didn't work out last year. Now. She's like, look, fatty, we travel too much.
Yeah. No, I said, you're running a wellness friend. You have to work out.
Yeah, it's like you have to start looking the part again. So
never trust a skinny chef.
Hey, you know what? You got to keep the innie.
That's right.
And I'm not going to go around and do guesswork when I can go find an expert that's like, okay, what should I really do? It's like, well, you know what? What I learned in quantum physics was this. When I was at Harvard for 2 years doing nanotechnology and bioscience engineering, we learned these things. And do you know how many people were in that course for 2 years from 2018 through 2020? There was 19. Do you know where most of them were from? Military, biotech, research. Then there was the one.
I'm actually from that background a little bit.
Yeah, but you were the one that's actually formulating stuff outside of it. And one of us, the special needs one, actually got to watch. Sometimes got to sit by the screen and learn. These people were a little bit unique.
Yeah.
Right? But there was one that was there going, here's how I can take this. Here's what I need to do in order to work on cleaning up the environment. Here's how we can clean up people. Here's some of the advancements that we're looking at programming things. Here's how we can program nature to do this. And we could go down the list of all the popular terms right now that are in social media. Peptides, great. Done that for 30 years. Glutathione, great. Relive greens, got that handled, little clean slate. Dopamine, serotonin, neurotransmission, great. Zero in a combination with clean slate. We can go down the list and list and list of every buzzword that's going on in health and wellness. It's already done. Yeah. And it's already done in a series that gives you everything you need all in one place. And oh, by the way, it's already clinically proven. There's already clinical case studies. So no, we're not doing clinical trials in a lab. That in previous areas of work in another industry, when a clinical trial doesn't give them the data that they specifically need in order to get a drug approval, do they trash it or do they just correct the record sometimes?
Well, I don't know what you mean. I mean, I'll give you Viagra was for cardiovascular, right? For heart problems. And then we realized that people were having heart attacks on Viagra. But then we also realized people were getting erections. So it changes your research when you're in the middle of it. And sometimes you even go when you're getting ready to launch a drug and you find it. And then sometimes, guys, I'm just going to tell you this, you launch a drug or you launch a monoclonal antibody or some kind of biotech product, and you don't really know what happens until 2 years out. And we call that a black box warning. And what happens is the patient registries, which we have for natural products, but we have those for pharmaceuticals too, they tell you if someone else, you can track it. Now, one of the things we haven't done a great job on is vaccines, but otherwise, usually you track it. And after you get 2 to 3 deaths, you give it a black box warning.
2 to 3.
And, I mean, people like Clay, I'm going to be realistic because I feel like I should show both sides. They may have helped 1 million people. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
There's not I'll use an example. When you go under anesthesia, when you're having a C-section, you don't have much of a choice. You're not cutting open a mother's stomach and not giving them some kind of anesthesia or antibacterial, antimicrobial, right? Mm-hmm. So there's some things that are a necessity that maybe someone has a reaction to. There's other things that we could do a much better job at. But again, that's not on my shoulders to be able to handle for our government or for the FDA, right? So I'm not trying to, I want to show both sides.
Absolutely, you have to. Is it not true that the first 2 COVID vaccines that were brought to the market by 2 drug companies, I won't name, but Bayer is suing them, voluntarily pulled those 2 from the market because of what the data was showing in the first couple of years of what the profile was? They voluntarily removed them from the market so as not to have to publicly report what the outcomes were. And that's on the CDC website. Is that not correct?
I'm not allowed to speak for those companies because I worked for them.
I didn't name any companies.
I understand.
But did they remove those 2 vaccines that 70% of the population got hit with?
I wouldn't say they removed them. They were changed to a different, and this happens sometimes because of side effect profiles. And so there have been, but yes, once you take a product off and you have a different version, it is different.
Hey, pardon this quick interruption, but it's a good one. You're listening to this ad right now, which means someone else could be listening to your ad in this exact spot. Go to nickhyder.com/contact-me or click the link in the show notes to get started. Let's put your brand in the spotlight right where it belongs.
Most people might hear this for the very first time right now, and I think it's just knowledge is everything. Yeah. Access to knowledge is everything. So you can the point is most of the information, a lot of the information that we might need isn't accessible, or you need a treasure map to find it.
Unless you're in that industry. Unless you actually, a lot of people would have to be at the top of that industry to know that. That's correct.
I think, with the products as a whole, the whole line, everything that I've tried, it's not I can sit here and tell someone, this is what it does, this is how it makes you feel. It's not going to be the same for everybody, but I promise if you try it, you will see how it makes you feel and you'll see the difference it makes in you. And then that's going to want you to let me explore. I've taken Clean Slate. I've done Zero In. Now let's try Restore. Let's try Give Me Back My Youth. You start to incorporate those products. And that was my journey is let me just try a couple things and see what I did. And immediately, I saw it in him, but it was still kind of that's a lot of stuff. I
couldn't explain. So that was the biggest thing.
You can't explain it. It's a feeling that you have to experience based on your body, how God made you. And that's the bottom line. You have to try it for yourself. And you don't have to research it. It's all right there for you. You've done all of that already.
I can't keep it in my house. I just want you guys to know that. And at first my kids were like, we're not taking that, right?
That's
That's
the downside right now is we're like, I'm like looking at him like, I'm watching her squirt the clean set and there's too much in there. You know?
Wait a minute, you got to ration this stuff out. Well,
You just don't understand. This is our house. This is when we travel. We're like, I was on Immune Defense Shield. We run out, we're traveling internationally, and I'm like, oh my gosh, great. We were out. I can't tell you the amount of times it's happened.
Yeah.
That's a great, good and bad thing about getting your family on it and your friends. They all want it, right? And for me, I even thought the other day, what would I take as an alternative if we didn't have these products? I'd have to create a new company, right? Because we need the products.
Yeah.
We really do. And I want you guys to hold me accountable for this. We need to always evaluate the products that we have, because you do this in publicly traded companies. In private companies, you don't, because usually your owners won't listen because they're arrogant, right? I'm not. And if you ask me why, I've been humbled over and over and over by God with my health, right? So, and with my life. I have not had a perfect life. And so
it's much better now since BC is over.
So I think it's important that I always listen to other mothers and other fathers. And if they say, and it happens a lot, what do you think about this? And I look into it, and a lot of times it's not needed, but sometimes it is. We have made some changes to some products. Like with Relive Greens, I changed the bacteria because when I started understanding the Human Genome Project and what bacteria was so important as a probiotic and prebiotic, that altered what I was doing, right? Mm-hmm. Was the new one more expensive? Yes. Did that matter? To me, no, because you're trying to impact people. And I'm like you, once they try it, then that's all that matters, right? And if it works for their body, then you want them to take it and if it doesn't, you don't want them to take it. It's like, and I wish that's what they said about the pharmaceutical products.
Like, it's not for everyone.
It's not for everyone.
Right.
Yeah. And it's even like, some people can't get past, some of the stuff, it doesn't taste like candy. So it's like, so people will make decisions on it. Like, I can't take it because it doesn't taste good. Why are you taking it to taste good, or are you taking it to feel better?
I can't tell you how many times that happens to me. I have people stop me and say, we love the Relive Greens, but you should add sugar. We love Clean Slate, but we don't want it to taste. I'm like, listen, I am not putting an artificial sweetener. I am not. And I was restore the turmeric taste. I used a fruit, right? But I used a very, very small amount because, again, even though fruit's good, the sweetener isn't for long-term use. So I'm very careful, and I get criticized a lot about the products because of the taste. But I'm just telling you guys, I'm not willing to change it.
With Relive Greens, always have all these questions. I should probably brought my notepad for my questions for you. Maybe we'll just sit down and hash this out.
In a podcast, you can ask me.
Yeah. So cinnamon is a natural sweetener. Could you add a little cinnamon to your greens to I just thought of this while we were sitting here.
Pistachio.
There's cayenne. There's cayenne in there.
And I like spicy too. Now, my other question, as a mother with a 4-year-old, there's not a lot of things on the market that, when they first came out, I'm not going to mention a brand, I was contacted to be an affiliate marketer for them, and I didn't jump on board. And I started using them, but then found out they sold to another company. How old are kids? Like, how safe are the products for 6 months old, 1-year-old, 2-year-old, 3-year-old, 4-year-olds? Because I trust your brand and your stuff. So how old can we start them? What are the doses? Where can people find that information?
So because I at one point worked with NIMH, and I worked with different institutions in this government, that we would determine things, and then working in pharmaceutical and biotech, I know the right answer to that. The right answer is when you're pregnant, or if you have young kids, you have to be very careful. When you have pharmaceuticals and biotechs, you categorize it as a Class C because that means caution, right? And that's because every child's so different. However, most of our products are food supplements.
Yeah.
You guys know that. So they're food, and there's nothing artificial. So it's up to the parents, right? And I did that on purpose because I was looking for something, if I have a grandchild or my own children, and to my parents who are 84, how old are mom and dad? 84,
84 as of 2 days ago.
I get their ages mixed up, and they corrected me. They told them I was making them older than they are when I was there the other day. But that was what was important to me because of my life and my experience and understanding. I wish I could go back to when my kids were little. Yes, I made their baby food a lot. Yes, I used organic bananas, but if I would have had the products that we have now, I would have been putting a drop of clean slate. I would have been giving them Relive greens. Are you kidding me? Instead of the peas, I would have been doing all of that.
Applesauce with cinnamon.
I would have,
with the greens. That's all you got to do. Mm-hmm. So.
Well, and you can even open a capsule of Zero N and sprinkle a little bit of Zero N in there. And one of the key things because of the ingredient profile that she's done, whether you look at Crush or Good Morning Minerals or Zodid Support Powder, which has a massive amount of garlic. These are things that you can cook with. Mm-hmm. It's the one thing that we don't think of. Like, I got Relive greens. Well, how can I apply that? Or how can I take Zodid Support Powder? It's got this, I can't taste it on its own. It's like, actually, if you add it with some oil and you can make an amazing salad dressing.
You make salad dressing.
Wait a minute, what? I can't use my supplements to use in food. I'm like, no, they are the food. You supplement with what you're eating. Yeah. This is your foundation.
We had a contest with our kids, and they all had to come and cook. And we actually were part of the contest, and then we had judges and everything, and we made them cook with the food. And I said, not that it matters, but the judge, and it was my oldest son, was as chief of staff of Root. I was like, you may want to put the products in it. So it was funny. My daughter was like, I don't use the products in my food. I just take them whenever. And her boyfriend was like, I use them in all my food because he was trying to get points.
Chicken katsu that was off the chain.
You can use it in your food.
Yeah, I've used
that's
it.
Why I'm bringing it up.
The garlic all the time. I mean, anytime I need garlic, that's what I.
And you look at the additive and the benefit to it. You're like, wait a minute, this is kind of dope. Right?
Yeah.
And it's like, this is how I incorporate a healthy lifestyle into an environment that you might not typically do. And you can mask stuff. Like when you look at babies, right? Women understand breastfeeding, right? And what's in breast milk that's so important? Colostrum, right? Mother's milk, foundation. Give me back my youth. If you got babies that are coming off the boob that you want to fortify whatever it is you're giving them, give me back my youth. Purest, cruelty-free source, cruelty-free bovine collagen and colostrum that's halal and kosher. We don't market it as
a breast milk or as a replacement because you have to go through other channels.
But it's an additive.
But we were asked to during COVID because they ran out. I don't know if you guys remember that. They ran out of formula.
Yeah.
So we had multiple companies, and Clay knows this. I made the decision because we couldn't get enough collagen and colostrum. So if I would have sold that to a country as an alternative, we couldn't have had it for Root. Mm-hmm. And that's something no one knows. But it was really important to me. Wow. I named it Give Me Back My Youth because I don't think that most people understand you shouldn't be drinking milk when you're our age, but you need the peptides and you need the different things that are in it. And if you said to me, what's the competitor for that? You find a collagen colostrum that's cruelty-free and let me know. Do you know what I mean?
There you go. That's what I'm what I'm talking about.
Halal and kosher. That's also certified as halal and kosher and cruelty-free.
That was really hard, by the way.
And the key in that is actually those two ingredients, bovine collagen and bovine colostrum, because of how they function, have to be used in combination.
Yeah.
Prior to the creation of Give Me Back My Youth, do you know how many products had ever been putting those two in combination? 0.
They may now, because usually when we launch something, someone tries to knock it off. But they don't,
And that's why with what you guys, one of the things I love most is your openness to be like, show me. If there's something better, I'll try it.
Oh, yeah.
And most brands are like, no, that's cost too much money, or no, I don't want to look at that. But it just goes back to the root of who you are, what the company's built on. And it's just truth and helping people. And I don't know any other companies out there that really stand for that. They're all these brands that we all love as moms that are clean and grain-free. Do you know how many of them are selling out to Pepsi and Johnson and all of them? And so...
But that was the intention. Was the intention. Build it up, sell it, get that money, y'all.
I'm telling you, it's tempting. I just want to be honest. It's tempting because it's like, and people say to me, Christina, could you retire? The answer is yes. Why aren't you? First of all, I'm way too young. I mean, the people in my family, the women live to be like 96, 98, and they work until and run miles a day. And if you met my family, you would see that.
And you have to adopt us before you retire.
Yeah.
But that's community.
But no, my thing is because there's so much to do. Like someone's got to do it. And I don't want to talk bad about other companies. I don't want to talk bad about anyone. I just want us to have better lives and better bodies. I want us to have better families so you can be whatever you want. And that's all your wife wants. Yeah. And I'm saying that because I want to say this to people. People think I'm a feminist. I'm not. I understand the difference between men and women. I'm happy about it. I still want to cook for him.
I love it when you cook for me.
I still want to take care of him.
I want you to take care
and
of
I know you do too, because you already talked about it. So the reason I'm saying that is this is a family business and we want to work with other families. And I love the fact that we're working with you all, because I never will succeed ever without everyone else. It's not, we need each other, right? Mm-hmm. And that's something, I love Sam Walton. I grew up in southern Missouri, and we had farms in Arkansas, Kentucky, all over. And I just remember the janitor of Walmart made as much money as some of the executives because of how he set that up to make people successful. That's one of my goals people don't know about me. My goal is not just a science, if I'm honest. My goal is that we have people that all flourish from a health and wealth perspective.
There you go.
And we're not there yet. So we have a lot more to do.
And the more people that flourish, the more people there are to help the ones down
that don't have anything.
What does it mean to be of influence in today's world? Does it mean you have a podcast and an audience, or you've got all these followers on social media? No, because we're already all connected. It doesn't matter what your fiscal situation is currently, what your social situation is currently, how many followers you have, what business you're doing, where you are, what your job is, where you are in your social circle, right? Are you a deacon at the church? Are you someone that shows up in flip-flops because that's what you've got to wear and you're sitting in the back and you feel embarrassed, right? Because everyone else is trying to dress nice to be in the Jesus show when Jesus is wearing flip-flops too, right? And if that's the truth, then we're all of influence. So as a business owner and as an entrepreneur, but also as a humanitarian, because she's got 6 doctorates, I am a humanitarian because I actually have a degree in humanities from Washington State University with a focus in business, communications, and kinesiology, because I studied so much stuff they kicked me out. So I am a humanitarian, but I had to live up to it.
Well, you didn't get kicked out. You got.
I know. They just gave me a diploma and like, you're special. Get out of here. And so if you understand that every one of us is of great value because our Creator made us to be special and unique, and we're all that imperfect piece to the perfect puzzle. So just because you might think you're a corner and you think you're special and you're a keystone doesn't make you different than the awkward piece that happens to be upside down and no one can identify what it's really for. Mm-hmm. But they all connect, right? So regardless of who you are, the fact that you could have an opportunity to find something that benefits you and you're already socially connected to everyone else, that you have an opportunity to create a tremendous amount of value and actually be financially rewarded. I can give you an example. We have one of our brand ambassadors that's been with us since almost day one, lives in London, used to make 12 pounds an hour as an event security guard, lived with his dad. That was what he did. His mom died, friend gave him a bottle of clean slate, said, here, this can help you, but find your purpose. The dude's a freaking millionaire now.
Mm, that's
and
awesome.
He had a couple hundred followers on social media, and making 12 pounds an hour does not make you socially influential.
Yeah.
What is that in dollars?
$1 million?
No,
Yeah.
12
pounds, about $15 an hour.
Okay.
Right? It's not a career path that is going to lead to financial success over an extended period of time. But because of not his personal influence, but because of the outcomes that some of his friends had and the fact that they shared with friends and shared with friends and shared with friends, he's a millionaire. And
he still does security, though.
No, he got fired because he just chose not to show up all the time. He got fired a couple months ago. And I'm like, bro, you
gave him the power of choice.
I'm like, you make more in a month than he used to make in a year now. And his biggest point of being uncomfortable is the rewards that he gets in his root account are more than he thinks he's worth. Mm. Imagine having your biggest test in life, having to learn that a bunch of numbers do not quantify who you are as a person. Mm-hmm. That people get uncomfortable with earning money. Mm. This happens in every aspect, right? Entrepreneurs become self-destructive when a business becomes successful because they think they're making more money than they're worth. Mm-hmm. And here's the operative thing that people have to understand when it comes to products, when it comes to what we do, and any aspect of life. Greatness is not for everyone. That is why it is the one focus we put on in anything that we do. We want to talk about the GOAT. We don't talk about Dave Craig and how mediocre he was as a quarterback with the Seahawks, and he threw some passes to Steve Largent, and Steve Largent caught a bunch of balls, and they never really won games. No, we want to talk about Tom Brady. Mm-hmm. Why? Because Tom Brady won more rings than everybody, and he was drafted 199. right? Why? Because he had to work his ass off. He didn't get an NIL deal. He wasn't the big thing in college. He got drafted and said, you know what? I'm going to work behind a Coug because Washington State is the foundation to the creation of greatness. Thanks, Drew. We love you. But Tom got to prove up or shut up.
Yeah.
Put up the numbers, and now that's who everybody talks about. It's the same reason every time I watch, so I don't even have to watch it. I can just talk about it now. If you watch and listen to the call of Secretariat running the Belmont, it is in our being to know, to feel. See, I'm getting chills. I'm going to cry because I'm very emotional. I get emotional over hearing that race called, because that was 2 minutes that we got to see physical, athletic perfection. And what happened is he'd already put it on tape. Everybody knew that that horse was going to show up and show out. But what Ron Turcotte did is when they got out of the gate, he just said, I'm dropping the reins. Just go. Just, you know what? See, I'm going to.
He just dropped the reins.
He just said, run. You got it.
Wow.
And what'd he do? He stroked everybody to the point that we're never going to see that level of performance again.
Yeah.
Imagine Kobe or Jordan coming out going, you know, I feel pretty good today. I think I'm going to drop 180 on everybody.
Yeah.
Because we're not going to see it again.
Right.
So that aspect of greatness is not for everyone. We know it when we see it.
Yeah.
But the goal and our purpose is to become the greatest version of ourselves. And that level of programming and support takes a very high level of intelligent design.
You have to really want it too. He's right.
I
And it's a
believe
choice.
that Roots has given Nick the foundation to be the greatest version of himself.
And you did that.
I will make that statement and live and die by it, because the change in his mental, physical, emotional, overall as a person, that was the only thing that we changed in the last year.
That's right.
So
That's right.
his greatness came from all of your research and all of your greatness. So.
It came from you.
Yeah.
Because he wouldn't have done it without you. So this is why when I tell people, I understand, of course I'm humble, because I have nothing without someone else. Do you know what I mean? If mothers, if wives, if fathers, if men that are leaders don't step up to make the change, we won't. And it's not always a popular, sexy thing to change, to say, I don't want to eat McDonald's. I don't want to eat. Honestly, it's not, I don't want to do what everyone else is doing. I want to talk about the fact that we have to make life better. That's not, I'm going to be honest with you guys. It's not, everyone wants controversy. They want to live in fear. I want to give them hope. I don't want every person ordering stuff they don't need from Root. I don't want a company. I can't stand the companies where people are ordering large amounts of stuff and they're not using it. It needs to be something that you use. And when you get that bottle of Relive Grapes, for example, and you say, why isn't it in a big container? There's no fillers. Do you know what I mean?
Right.
I
No
just wanna
additives.
point this out. There's no fillers.
Yeah.
And people don't understand that. I had to explain it to Cam. He works for this yesterday because he goes, we need to have these big buckets. And I go, no, because there's no fillers. But I want to tell you thank you, because you are the one that is supporting the family and making those decisions. If you didn't support your husband being his greatest and best, and some people don't want their spouse to be their best because they want to be the one that has the limelight. Yeah. And I keep telling my husband
You've set the bar so high that I'm good. I can be as great as I can, and I'm still looking up.
My goal this year is for Clay to be for people to see who he really is.
Not going to cry, Roy.
To see who he really is, and for people to know what a great heart he has. Well, it's obvious he's intelligent, but to see the other aspects, and I can tell you're doing it for your husband. And I appreciate you guys so much, and I mean that.
So guys, thank you all so much. Your time is absolutely invaluable. I would love to keep you here all day long. We'll just have to bring you back. Fair enough?
Well, it's fair, but you have to be on my podcast. That was an agreement.
Let me check. We good?
Yeah.
A hit streak is never one game.
That's right. That's exactly right. So I feel like this was a part one of many parts to come. But again, I couldn't thank you guys enough. Again, the products have been they're life changing for our family. It's been phenomenal. Literally, we haven't been sick.
Thank
That's
you
that's the one thing that we could say is we didn't get sick. Our kids didn't get sick. Nobody got sick. Usually every December we get sick. Didn't get sick.
That's what Joy had said about immune defense shield. Don't run out of that. If you're not taking it, please get it.
That's exactly right.
Finding the right health plan can feel overwhelming, but it doesn't have to be. Backed by over 12 years of experience and more than 20 national and local awards, Team Hyder is here to help you navigate your options and choose a plan that fits your family's needs and your budget. Visit teamhyder.com today to schedule your consultation and get the coverage that you deserve.
So obviously, therootbrands.com is where they can get anything and everything, all the education, keeping up with everybody on, let me get out my notes here, keeping up with everybody on socials. You got at Dr. Christina Rahm, at the Clay Thomas, and at the Root Brands on all socials, drchristinarahm.com, theclaytonthomas.com, and of course, therootbrands.com. All these are available in the show notes. Guys, thank y'all so much.
Thank you so much.
Thank you to my lovely co-host over here.
I loved it. I think I could make a career out of this.
Let's go.
I think you could too.
As the better looking part of the duo.
That's right. Facts. Well, folks, thanks so much for tuning in to another episode of The Hit Streak. I am your man, Nick Hyder, and my co-host,
Rhiannon.
Thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time. God bless.